looks like we're live according to my dashboard and Wirecast. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com, helping you create something awesome today. So welcome to another YouTube live stream discussion. This one is going to be probably one of the more controversial ones on this channel for a lot of reasons, but I think it's going to be an important conversation. So if you're watching live, I want to first of all, say hi, welcome to the show, and also I want to have you invite as many people as possible in Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media platform you're on to be part of this discussion and conversation, and it will be a discussion. I'll be talking to you guys in the comments. I'm also going to set the tone here with some context. I want to have a civil discussion about this, and I want to talk about it from a lot of different angles. I want to talk about it based on some of my own experience in corporate America working in advertising and marketing, because that plays a role here. I want to talk about it because I have friends who actually work in the media, and also, in full disclosure, I've actually been covered favorably as a YouTuber in the past by mainstream media publications like Forbes and Entrepreneur and Huffington Post. And so as many of there have been controversial YouTubers who have been covered very unfairly, in some cases, and negatively in YouTube. That's not been my personal experience. However, I have friends who have been completely thrown under the bus by mainstream media as well. And I want to talk about it from every angle we possibly can. A lot of this has to do with the fact that, once again, we have coverage in Verge and in Forbes and other publications around YouTubers like Philip Defranco, Pewdiewpie, some of the controversial conservative news YouTubers. I mean, there's a lot going on, but this has been something that the community has been dealing with for months, if not years, and it's just seeming to spiral now. And so I want to have a conversation about it because I think it affects all of us as creators as we go forward. There are a lot of creators here who are probably YouTubers that are on the rise, and you have to wonder, is something you're trying to do or accomplish going to be derailed in some way by an outside agenda? Are you going to be allowed to be able to have your content be taken into the proper context and be given a fair shake and be talked about in an honest way by old media and by people within the establishment? So I think that this is important, but I don't just want to give you my perspective and point of view. I want to talk to some people in the comments. I want to share some of your thoughts, and please do reference the articles in the description if you want some more context, because I think that I think all of you can agree with me on this. Context matters regardless of where you sit in any conversation like this. So that's going to be what today's show is. Thank you, Malevolent Elephant, for the $5 in Super Chat. I really appreciate that. Guys, with the YouTube stuff, I'll give you a slight update on the ad boycott. For some YouTube channels that I know that were negatively impacted by it, revenue is stabilizing. I am actually participating in the new version of the AdWords platform as an advertiser, so I'll try and keep you guys up to date and just figure out what I'm allowed to talk about there, to keep you up to date on what's going on with YouTube advertising and the ad boycott, which is ironically something that mainstream media did play a role in, and we'll discuss that as well. But I want to encourage you to continue to donate to small YouTubers or YouTubers that you want to support, whether it's someone small or large. Philip Defranco launched Defranco Elite to help fund his new news organization. I actually am a big supporter of that, so I'm donating to him monthly. Also, I want to encourage you, if there are small YouTubers and they're doing live streaming, please donate to them in Super Chat. It's important to support small YouTubers so that they can try and invest back in their channel and produce quality content. So if people are out there producing quality content, please find a way to support it. Now, somebody mentioned in here, and I brought up Pewdiewpie, and there's a reason, because also some of the irony of this is that some people even watch this channel have even mischaracterized me in coverage or commentary that I've made about Pewdiewpie and his situation. There's a difference between what Wall Street Journal and other mainstream outlets did in unfairly characterizing him versus me commenting on his acumen as a business persona online, what he did with his brand, and then the consequences monetarily of that. Me commenting on that and saying, you did this thing that predictably had these business consequences that were negative. Maybe there's a maturity level thing and a business acumen thing that needs to be addressed here. That's a completely different commentary situation than to unfairly characterize him as a Nazi, which he's clearly not, just because he made some jokes that were then purposely taken out of context to frame a specific narrative. So even I am taken out of context, but in this case, not by the mainstream media, but by the YouTube community, which is kind of what some of my point is going to be here, is that everyone is guilty of mischaracterizing and maligning people and taking people out of context when it suits them. The difference is that when the mainstream media does it, they're doing it on a large scale, and possibly to people who don't know any better and will probably in some cases never do their own research to get more context. And that's why we're having conversations about fake news, and there's a difference between fake news and making an error. With fake news being when you are purposefully misleading people and framing a narrative to have a specific outcome that is favorable to your agenda, or to purposely damage or do irreparable harm to a group of people or an individual or an industry or a business. There's a difference between doing that and, again, faking news by creating a false narrative by sowing misinformation versus making an editorial error or mistake. And since we're talking about YouTube and YouTube channels, Keemstar is a primary example of someone who has made editorial errors and mistake that had grievous consequences, but it wasn't intentional misinformation in those cases. Now, there are arguments to be made on situations where he has done that, but in this case, I'm just talking about the differences where it's like he said, oh, you know what, I screwed up, here's my retraction, don't send hate this person's way, etc., etc. That's a primary example here versus a major media outlet that has massive amounts of manpower at their disposal for people to do the proper research, editorial teams that vet it, legal teams that vet it. There's less leeway there when something happens when you are then covering large online personalities, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, Snapchat, Vine, and then you put something out, characterize people in a certain way. There's a huge difference there than, oh, I misspoke, or I didn't do my research, or I did that in error. You have less of an excuse for that as an organization versus somebody who's online on the internet talking to a webcam. So that just, in my mind, part of like how you have to kind of frame these things up, because it's not, you don't want to have what is referred to as false equivalency. You don't want to put these things on the same tier and the same level. To a user, sometimes they are, but I think that's a mistake. Abstract Discovery, thank you for the $10 in Super Chat. So I want to get into some of you guys' comments here, because I think this is interesting. Malevolent Elephant says that Pewdiewpie is collateral damage of a smear campaign. I don't entirely agree with that. Let's see. Retro Queen Gamer says, had this conversation with my statistics and probabilities discussion. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I actually really dig statistics and probability. Jay Morton TV. Hi, Roberto. I started making videos a month ago. Don't judge me. I had no prior knowledge of this. Okay. Angel Muniz says, Anthony Brian Logan has also been the subject of YouTubers versus mainstream media. I am not familiar with his stuff. Adam Washington says, this is why I don't take most mainstream media sources seriously, and I take them with a grain of salt. Blood Giant says, if views are more important than subscribers, then why do companies, including mainstream media, want to work with you if you have more of a certain amount of subs? I worked in marketing. I worked in advertising. I've covered that before at length. Let's just put it down to, it's a lazy way of vetting, in the same way that to say, oh, you have a degree, you must be smart, is a lazy way of vetting too. People are stupid. Wizard's first rule. That's the shorthand answer to most things. Most questions in life can be answered by the wizard's first rule, which states people are stupid. Given the right incentive, almost anyone will believe almost anything, whether it's true or not. Most people believe that they can discern the truth from a lie, when in fact it is very difficult. If you have someone who either desperately wants to believe in something or is afraid that it is true, they are easier to convince. No one is immune to the wizard's first rule. This is a quote from Terry Goodkind's novel titled, guess what? The Wizard's First Rule. So that's the answer to most things. That's where I leave it at that. Fiberfix says, I think mainstream media is scared. They attack without research. Okay, so I want to address that. I don't necessarily think that the narrative of YouTubers versus mainstream media is that productive in and of itself. And I think that when you create any us versus them narrative, it is damaging. And I'm going to put this into even more context. YouTubers like Philip Defranco, and at some point eventually even myself, you know what? 5 years from now, guess what? We're mainstream media 5 years from now. 5 years from now, YouTube will be mainstream media. 5 years from now, people like Philip Defranco, people like myself maybe, will be the establishment. We'll be the establishment. Philip Defranco is launching a news organization, and while it might be classified as alternative media now, that's a very short timeline and time span for a generation that's grown up on YouTube and Snapchat. They're not television watchers in the first place. So you have to understand what's the definition of mainstream. The definition of what's mainstream is what's common. It's not necessarily what's old or establishment. Establishment is partly, well, what's in power now? What's in authority? YouTube already has more watch time than television. Most YouTube channels that are in the higher echelon, that are in the 0.001%, the top 5,000 YouTube channels, almost any of the top 5,000 YouTube channels get more views per video than multi-million-dollar production shows on television right now. So, to be honest, here's the thing. YouTube is on the precipice of, by every practical definition, being mainstream media. And that's why I don't think a narrative of, even though I titled it this for people to understand, YouTube and YouTubers versus mainstream media, I don't think that's productive, because the tipping point is a year from now, when the data reflects it. Guess what? Truth be told, whether you guys perceive it that way or not, YouTube is practically already mainstream media in terms of its power, its influence, in terms of the shift of advertising dollars, in terms of reach. YouTube is mainstream media. It is already. It really is. Instagram engagement on the highest performing tiers gets more traffic and engagement than print and digital online publications of major magazines. And that's individual accounts, let alone the whole platform. So I could make an argument that YouTube and Instagram are already mainstream media. So when you say mainstream media, I think that you have to be careful, because just because you use mainstream media as a slang term doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means, just because you're using it as a colloquial slang. So, that's just, something that I think we have to keep in mind. Now, when you take a look at, what camera am I using for my stream? I'm using a Logitech C922X Pro. It's like $100, and it's amazing if you want to do this kind of content. And then I'm using Wirecast. The rest of you can use OBS if that's too expensive. But again, my point is that YouTube will be it's technically already, YouTube will be mainstream media. YouTube could be considered, or larger or older YouTubers, old tube people could be considered the establishment where the platform's concerned. So I think we have to be very careful in the way that we craft these things, that we present the information on this. We have to be careful about our own narrative, and we have to be cognitive of our own biases here. And I think that's important. Now, with that being said, a lot of you brought up that you think mainstream media or old media is scared. Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's that the individual companies and entities are scared, because you have to understand how media works, and that the media companies that you know are part of conglomerates. Ultimately, 6 companies own the majority of the media, and they're not scared of digital media in the way you think they are, because what you guys have to understand is all these old media networks are the people who had the ability to buy stock in all of the. Do you think the people who own News Corp, you don't think that those same people and the people on the board of directors, you don't think they have stock in Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube? You don't think that they're the shareholders of that too? Netflix, Amazon, because they have the money to invest. Don't you think the same rich fat cats that own News Corp and Disney and all the shareholders for those companies and ESPN, and don't you think those same rich fat cats, you don't think that their managers and handlers and their portfolio people had them invest in Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well? Because I think it's incredibly naive to believe otherwise. Um, you know, I know that for a fact. Now, I also know that they're looking and investing in new digital media platforms. My friend John Mayer, his company Fresco News, they had substantial money raised, and one of their investors that came in was Fox News and News Corp. So, I mean, they got some of that money when they were doing their Series A. So if you think that the mainstream isn't invested in digital, I would disagree with that. Now, with that in mind, you know, um, there's a thing to be said for, let's talk about the people who are editors and senior and junior editors, and the people who are individual columnists for some of these publications, because that's where I think we need to go with this conversation. But I also want to get to some of your comments here. So we got where I really can't read this. Where Rebels Are donated $20 in super chat. Thank you so much. Philip Defranco had a great point yesterday. Mainstream media as a whole has many members, and like any other group, they will have extremists making a bad name. I launched a finance channel to give my take because mainstream media is failing there. Uh, where rebels are, I completely agree with you as well as Philip DeFranco. In full disclosure, you're going to see me saying a lot of positive things about Philip DeFranco in this stream, because he is literally one of my favorite YouTubers. He's one of my favorite old school YouTubers, and I'm glad he stuck around as long as he has. And so that I think is like important to take into consideration here, and I want to definitely go there, that there are individuals within any group, any organization, any brand that are the bad apples, the bad actors. And even though we use the slang of mainstream media, we're really talking about mostly those bad actors. Even the people that you want to call out on fake news, quote unquote, their percentage of getting it right is still more right than wrong. You can disagree philosophically with Fox News, and guess what? In the accuracy of their reporting, they get more right than wrong. CNN, in the accuracy of their reporting, they get more right than wrong. In the accuracy of the reporting, ABC, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, all of them, whatever, they all get more right than wrong. They just do. But alternative media, they get more right than wrong, but their margins and percentages are much worse on that. But part of that is the fact that they have less resources to deploy. They have less money to be able to hire people. They have lower standards for vetting people in terms of their background and their ability to research. They also have different time constraints because of the immediacy of the internet. I mean, so from a place of respect, the mainstream old school establishment media still gets more right than wrong, and there's still a more accurate source of news than alternative media, just because of scale. In the same way that if you hire a small local company to do work for you, sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not, depending on who you get, right? When you hire one of the big guys, more often than not, even when it's not, as good sometimes, more often than not it is. I mean, a lot of you'd much rather, as long as you can afford it, fly a major airline than a smaller airline, because you feel like there's less chance of something going wrong or your plane falling out of the air. Am I right about that? So I just want to bring that up. Clover Tax says, so much is political freedom is assaulted instead of respected. Firearm channels and social media users fight this daily. You don't have to participate to respect the rights. Stay awesome. No, I agree. You don't have to be a participant in something to respect it. And Some of it's political, but then I think more has to do with the nuances of capitalism within the corporate infrastructure than people give credit to. I think that politics, sometimes we use that as a hammer and we spam, oh, it's politics or it's political for doing something. But the thing is, political expedience often takes the form of capitalistic practicality. And I think that they get conflated in a way that they necessarily shouldn't. Meaning that we're just lumping these things together. But more of this always has to do with this than with politics or what people believe in here or even think up here. I would beg to argue that most of it comes down to this. So agree to disagree there. I just think that makes the most practical sense. You always follow the money. Now money and like quid pro quo, and also if we want to talk about double standards often aren't political. Double standards are much less political and much more about capitalism and about backing your team or helping your friends, or about you scratch my back, I scratch yours, or oh well, you didn't pay in, or you're not part of the collective. So that's the thing. Autobot Simmer says, sorry, I don't agree. The big news networks don't fully focus on reporting truth. They all have their own agenda to get us to believe what they want us to. I said something to that effect in the form of when I explained what the Wizard's first rule is and about people being stupid. And the thing is, if you wanted the truth, you'd watch C-SPAN. And that's not a dig at you. I'm just saying that there's a capitalistic part of this that says we are to blame because news isn't about truth. News is become media. Media by itself needs to be financed. It's financed primarily through advertising and corporate sponsorship, which means that they are then forced to placate us because we are consumers, which means that they have to frame things in a way that are digestible for us, irregardless of the truth, and thus they create these silos of entertainment, much like YouTube has genres and niches, with some being more popular than the others. I.e., if we all wanted quality content on YouTube, wouldn't we all be watching small YouTube filmmakers like Yuling Huang? Wouldn't we all be watching high-end vloggers like Eric Conover and Sarah Dietschy and Casey Neistat? Wouldn't we all be watching the great entrepreneurs, Evan Carmichael, Marie Forleo, Gary Vaynerchuk? Would we not be doing that if we were looking for the greatest quality of content on YouTube? Wouldn't we be watching all the tech channels? But guess what we're watching? We're watching a lot of low-ball, low-tier, low-brow content majority of the time. We're letting these other nonsense things sometimes go viral because what? It's entertaining to us, and thus we have ourselves to blame for being served up bread in circuses, because that's what we create a demand for. So that's just being realistic about the capitalism side of this. Is if there's a demand, you'd be smart to go with the demand. The brilliance of Roger Ailes in Fox News, whether you disagree with him or not, is he found an unserved market because the news media had a liberal slant to it in his era, and then he created and founded Fox News to serve the conservative market, which hereto really didn't have a voice and didn't have anybody marketing directly to it, and he built an empire that is extraordinarily lucrative to this day, and also has created a new wave of media channels following suit. And also a shift in culture and a shift in politics. Why? Because that was marketing. And the thing is, he didn't even respect, as someone pointed out, you don't have to respect something, or rather you don't have to participate in something to respect it, because he wrote a business thesis. He wrote a business thesis that actually disrespected his own target market and his own viewers when he was writing a business paper. And I think that that's very telling. He was selling his customers, but he didn't even respect them. But you'll find that that's very common in the business world, which is something I'm not a fan of, but to each their own. That being said, when people say that it's politics, only if it's money, to be honest, in my opinion. But going back to the issue of the YouTube mainstream media thing, because again, the news things and the liberal conservative thing and the agendas and everything, that's all a construct of serving capitalism in the first place. It's theater, if you will, for the purposes of leveraging advertising dollars. How do I know that? I worked in advertising. I know better. I know that everything in that regard is a matter of theater and the dollars and cents. And if you don't believe that, look at the YouTube ad boycott, because it's a primary example of the fact that this has come down to money, because even that was about at the end of the day, you know what the YouTube ad boycott was about? That was about money, because that was about patent trolling. That was about patent trolling, and it was also about corporate leverage on the part of advertisers, because the negative ads was a 0.001% error rate. Do you realize how insignificant that is? So it wasn't something so terrible that was happening. It was a matter of monetary leverage. It was a matter of people wanting to siphon money from the situation. And so in that regard, it wasn't even a matter of politics, which was what most people think it is. It was a matter of financial leverage, expedience, and frankly, greed. Now, with that in mind, you guys are getting me to go on a different tangent than I wanted to. Autobot Simmer, yes, they only report what a large number of Americans want to, which is why we're in the situation that we're in, is because clickbait. Clickbait is not something that is limited to YouTube. Clickbait is something that has permeated mainstream media as well, because we've proven as consumers that we will fall for clickbait. If you are, because I want to get to what you do. If you're, let's say you're working, let's say you guys are mostly, I'm sure, people who are employed versus being entrepreneurs. And even if you're an entrepreneur, you have experienced this in your past more than likely. And so what I would say is, if you are someone who's ever worked for a company, you know that if you are not in an authoritative or leadership position, you are going to have pressure come down from the top, right? So let's assume for one moment that you work at The Verge or the Wall Street Journal or Business Insider or wherever it is, or Forbes or wherever. And let's say that your boss comes to you and isn't happy with the numbers and isn't happy with the traffic on the website. If your boss isn't happy with the traffic on the website and it's your job on the line, and what do? The easiest land grab right now, if that's your situation, would be to do what? Capitalize on people who already have attention and already have an audience. Right now, that would be YouTube, right? Because the thing is, as YouTube viewers and as YouTube creators, if we see YouTubers in that mainstream news piece, we are going to click on it. We are going to read it just so we can disagree, so we can hate comment, so we can tell them, see, you're going after Pewds again. See, you're going after Philip Defranco. Oh, see, you're going after Hunter Avalon. Whatever it is, we are going to read it, and we're guilty because it works, right? So it's clickbait. It's clickbait, and it's working. Just like how in YouTube, if Keemstar does clickbait, which he does, let's be real about that, then we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it because, oh, here's another big YouTuber in the thumbnail. Here's this person that I watched in the thumbnail. Oh, here's Donald Trump in the thumbnail. And we click on it, right? This is about supply and demand. That's economics 101. I think everybody got the same primer on business that I did for the most part if you went to high school or college. And so if you didn't, all right, if something is in demand, you will supply it. Primary example is in the Verge article. In the Verge article, or was it the Forbes article? Oh, it was the Forbes article. So in the Forbes article, and disclosure, Forbes has been very good to me. They published 4 favorable articles about me. So I don't hate Forbes. I am actually a subscriber to the magazine, so full disclosure there. And they've been good to me. At least the individual authors who decide to characterize me well and not write trashy headlines about me and try to defame me or in any way, yeah, those individual writers and editors, they were nice to me, so I like them. Go figure, right? But they wrote an article that I'm looking at now. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen for you guys real quick. Hang on. Okay, yeah. So it's how these young conservative YouTube stars are making bank by embracing Trump and bashing feminism. Some of that is, as a headline, that's clickbait as a headline. But given some of the people they did cover, that is not inaccurate, but they lumped some people in here who shouldn't have been. And the thing is, they have some quotes here. So are some of these things taken out of context? Well, in the case of them talking about Hunter Avalon, and I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I've watched 3 of his videos, so I'm not super familiar with his content, but it was hard to watch his videos because he reminded me of the kind of person that I knew in high school that would be in the cafeteria and would bet somebody $5 that they could make this one kid cry, and I don't like people like that. So sorry, I'm just not a fan, but they conflate this and they add people in here like Philip Defranco. Philip Defranco's not a conservative. Philip Defranco's a moderate. Philip Defranco, if anything, is a classical liberal. And they kind of throw him in here and conflate him with this. And they double down a little bit on their Pewdiewpie narrative, which I don't love that. And so now they brought up the ad revenue dropping thing, which that's accurate. So, I think that sometimes you have to accept that there will be people who, in the course of under pressure from their corporate overlords, will go ahead and do the thing that they know is going to drive traffic to the website, that is going to get the numbers and get their boss off their back. And in the course of doing that, and the rest of their workday, they don't necessarily give something the scrutiny, the research, and the thought that it deserves, and they just try to pull in the numbers and use a name that they can use because here's the thing. Philip Defranco did a video cover this. I'm doing a video covering this. And guess what? We are jumping up their traffic. We are jumping up their traffic. Now, in return, to be honest, the YouTubers covered in this, their traffic is going to be jumped up as well. So even when it's a mischaracterization, just as Philip Defranco pointed out, it can sometimes be the best thing for a YouTuber because it can increase their notoriety and it can increase awareness around them. And then people can debate over whether what was said about them was accurate or not. Now, with regard to some of the people they're covering, I don't really have a problem with this headline because it is true. I have a problem with them putting Philip Defranco and Pewdiewpie in the same category as these people because they're not, and they don't do that stuff. And the other thing is, a lot of these people that they're talking about are doing exactly what the publications are doing. They're using controversy and they're using clickbait to siphon attention to leverage ad revenue. So if everybody's playing that game, whether it's YouTubers or whether it's the mainstream media, are quid pro quo here, we're clicking on it. So, does that make them the problem or does that make us the problem? And at that point, also, if the advertisers don't want that and they decide, hey, you know what? We were giving you a free ride and now we're not, then, isn't that their call? It's their money. So, it's just annoying to me, though, in a lot of ways, and it's why I avoid clickbait things, but then sometimes I have to, cover it. Young Levy said, so you don't care about their free speech if they're alt-right? Young Levy, you're part of the problem here, quote unquote, as what people like to say. You're problematic, as the young people like to say. And here's how I'm gonna kind of diss on you on this a little bit. And it's not to hate on you or nothing like that. It's not that I don't care about their free speech. No one's quashing their free speech. You don't understand capitalism if you think that a platform like YouTube or any internet property owned by a private company has to do with free speech, because that's about the platform and that's about money. Free speech is not, oh, I want to demonetize this for advertising. That's not free speech. You have the right to say it. It's a matter of I don't have to pay for it. I don't have to subsidize it. I don't have to subsidize it. If you're my kid and you you want to go do that thing, it's like, okay, well, I don't agree with you, so I don't have to pay for it. I'm not squashing your rights by being your parent at that point. I'm just saying I don't want to subsidize it. If I'm your employer, it's like you can say what you want. I don't have to pay you for that. So it's not a matter of free speech. I think one of the biggest problems with the internet and conversations like this in the mainstream media and all these things is that most people are ignorant about the words they use. Precise language matters. Free speech is about the government not kicking in your door and shooting you when you say something like they do in countries where they don't have freedom. That's why we're blessed to live in a democratic republic. That's why we're blessed to have the First Amendment. We have the right to say what we want without the government executing us for it or stripping us of our actual freedom. Now, what we don't have the right to do is to use a platform that is subsidized by people or controlled by other people to say whatever we want without them saying, oh, we can't pull the plug. They have the platform. So they have the platform. You can't come into my house and behave as you want. It's my house. I own it. YouTube is owned not by you, not by me, but by Google Incorporated and the shareholders there within. They have the right as a corporation to decide what they're going to allow on their platform and what they're not. An advertiser who pays money for publicity has the right to say, I will pay for this, but not for this. You won't tell me as a company what I have to subsidize. You can't tell me that my ad dollars should go to something that I don't agree with or don't support or I don't find favorable for my business. That would be an infringement on my freedom as an individual and as a business. And I sure as hell as an American cannot believe in that. So it's not about me caring about their freedom of speech as their alt-right. I don't care. What I do care about is capitalism. What I do care about is the freedom of businesses to conduct themselves within the bounds of the law as they see fit with regard to what they're going to spend their money on. And that's true. I do care about the rights of a platform to restrict any content that they don't feel favorably is doing what their business wants it to do. Because that's what corporations do, and that's what they're allowed to do, and that's what they are. So, it's, you care about money? You want to run a business? You want someone telling you how you can run your business outside of the context of what the law is? Because I don't, because that's called, go live in a communist country. So that's my thing. It's I think that, in that regard, I believe in free speech and capitalism probably, oh, I got it, I'm going to make a joke now. Believe me, I believe in free speech more than anyone. More than anyone's ever believed in free speech, I do. I believe in capitalism more than anyone on the planet. Believe me. See, I made a joke. So, that's my sense of humor. E. Dean Cole said, I had a few videos go viral this month. Because of that, I can get 1 cent views. But I remember you saying if you run ads, it will kill your organic reach. Is that 100% certain? I want to promote the new course on credit repair. It can't, I was talking to Daryl Eves about this, and paid promotion of a YouTube video might kill its organic reach. We've seen that in Facebook for sure sometimes. I mean, the organic reach is elevated a little bit, but then they decide to turn the fire hose on and off, and they want you to spend more money. My thought on it is, once you show them you're willing to spend money, why would they promote you organically when they can get you to spend more money? Because capitalism, So, yeah. So, I mean, when you have, free speech as an issue and concern, and this goes back to the clickbait, it's these publications, the YouTubers themselves, they do these things for clickbait. But clickbait has consequences, right? Clickbait has consequences. There's massive backlash to Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, Verge, Wired, whenever they go after YouTubers and they frame things however they want to frame them without them being accurate or without doing the proper research. They get massive backlash. But here's the thing. As much of it's negative backlash, do you really think they're losing monetarily? Because their traffic increases every time they do it. Their traffic increases every time they do it. Look at the Pewdiewpie situation. Pewdiewpie did those videos that had some jokes that probably were unnecessary. He probably could have went just as quote-unquote viral, gotten just as many views without including those jokes. But he saw a spike. So he kept doing it. Why? Clickbait, controversy, views, attention, larger watch time. He looked at his analytics and said, I got a spike. I guess I'll do it again. What happened was there were negative consequences financially for him as a business entity. as a business person. As a business person, those were delayed, mind you. Those were massively delayed, so it looked good on the surface and had long-term repercussions that came later. Here's the thing. Do you really think that news corporations and organizations for like hitting YouTubers and doing clickbait, do you think that they're going to see long-term negative repercussions? Or do you think that they're going to be able to cash in early on it on attention, potential new viewership, ad revenue, and be able to walk away with that, and then in the long term, because of our short attention spans, thank you Instagram and Snapchat, we won't really remember, because the minute that, Lord forbid, there's a terrorist attack, we're going to go right back to those same mainstream outlets that we quote-unquote don't trust, aren't we? Aren't we? We're going to still go back to the Tom Brokaws and the Van Joneses and the, the Cooper 360s of the world. We're gonna go right back to Anderson Cooper, Van Jones, Tom Brokaw, and so on and so forth. We're gonna go right back to them the minute the world starts unraveling, the minute everything starts to burn. We're gonna go right back to them. We're going to go right back to them. And there's a reason for that, and maybe that's not in itself a problem. So the thing is, there are no consequences for them to do this. There's every business incentive, honestly, for them to do this, and we know that because we live in the YouTube ecosystem. We live in the land of clickbait. Have YouTubers really been punished for clickbait? So why wouldn't mainstream cash in on clickbait if we keep on enabling it? We're enablers. We are enabling this stuff, and then we're complaining. Abstract Discovery, I was tricked. I got a free 100 gift card for AdWords and didn't know about the backlash. AdWords is not limited to YouTube, and so it's not a matter of backlash. It's a matter of how you're strategically leveraging it, because it's at a video level. It's not channel-wide per se, but the thing is, it's a matter of if you threw that money behind your YouTube trailer, it probably would be a better thing. I will do some kind of thing. Maybe me and Daryl Eves will do a collab on YouTube ads and whether it's right for your channel or not. So me and Daryl will probably cover that. I don't want to really go into that in this live stream. I want to try to stick to, as much as I've gone on to tangents about the YouTubers versus mainstream media narrative and both sides of it. And you guys have strayed me into some of the politics things, but you have to remember that my thesis of politics is, one, I'm a moderate, and two, I actually, in the Star Wars universe, would have voted for Sheev Palpatine to install the Empire after the Jedi's traitorous actions, because I would have believed it based on the evidence. And then, when I saw what a douche he was, I probably would have been one of the senators that defected to the Rebel Alliance. And then I would have, tried to help, with the whole New Republic situation until the First Order slaughtered us all. So that's my thesis of politics. But that aside, the reality is I just believe that it's all down to money and capitalism, and that whatever we think our political leanings are, ultimately, whoever we vote for the most part, is in the hands of our corporate overlords. And I've just personally seen so much overwhelming evidence of that, that politics on a certain level is completely irrelevant to me, because I'm just going to look at who's spending the money to buy who. I'll just be trying to get my seat on the corporate Congress of 2028. When we're in the hands of the corporations, I'll fight for you. Darth Roberto, 2024. Darth Roberto, 2028. Darth Roberto, 2032. I'll fight for you. A Sith Lord you can trust. The whole thing is, I think that when you are at one of these major publications, just like when you're in corporate America, that there's pressure from your bosses to deliver on numbers. And when you have the pressure to deliver on numbers, the clickbait thing to do is easy. Using a big YouTuber is easy. But let's not even go with the big YouTuber thing. I have seen, I was watching an interview that two of my friends, Jared Kleiner and Stacey Ferreira, were talking about their book a few years back, 2 Billion Under 20, which features millennials who are doing amazing things. It's a great book, and I'm actually featured in the follow-up book, 3 Billion Under 30, as a millennial entrepreneur. And the Fox, I forget the lady, but the Fox News lady, one of them that was interviewing, she was bashing this YouTuber because this young woman on YouTube, I forget which YouTuber it was, but she grew a following. She made so much money that she was able to retire her mother and buy a house for her family, right? And she managed to do that before she was even 25 years old. And this person on Fox, making a significant salary, but maybe not as much money as this YouTuber, to be honest, or whatever, was sitting here and this woman was spouting out this jealousy at what this 25-year-old did and said, oh, well, that's not a real job, and you didn't have to, go to school. There's not a degree in YouTube. And she was like really just hating on her. And I was so annoyed by it because this young woman learned a real skill. She learned how to shoot video. She figured out her own makeup and lighting and hair. She figured out how to edit videos. She figured out how to market herself and build a brand. And I'm looking at this news personality, this reporter, and I'm like, there's literally 30 people that behind the scenes enable you to sit at a desk, look pretty, and deliver directly to camera, and this girl does it on her own, and you're hating on her, whereas you couldn't do and report the news without 30 people if you tried, in all likelihood, to the degree that this girl can put out her content. So I think that when people are talking about do mainstream people and the mainstream news and mainstream media, do they have something out against YouTube? I don't think it's them specifically. I think that there is an elitism to a fraternity of people, whether they're older or not, that they worked hard, they got a degree, they kissed their boss's butt, they did all the right things, they hustled hard, and there's a new wave and generation of people that aren't having to make the sacrifices they did to get the same payout, the same notoriety, the same attention, and there's resentment to that. I mean, if you worked hard for 20, 30 years and somebody was able to accomplish what you took 30 years to do in 5, I think there's some saltiness there, and I understand it. I don't necessarily think it's the right thing. I think, your deal is your deal, and I think you should learn to be happy for other people, but I can understand that, I can understand where their disposition comes from. I don't agree with it, but I understand that, wow, you had to go through a lot of crap to get where you are, and some kid at 2025 can go to the internet and crush you. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, so I get it. But at the same time, that's not right, because these people have skills you don't, took advantage of the thing that was available to them in their time in the same way that you took advantage of opportunities that may not have been available to your parents or to your grandparents. So, I mean, get over it is part of my thing. But I'm saying that to say this. There will be individual people in these mainstream positions and publications that might have an axe to grind with people that they feel might be undeserving. And so that is, I don't like that. I think that that's the wrong mentality. I don't think that's how winners think, to be honest. And so there's that part of it. But then there are these innocent people that are, working hard. They work for a publication. They're not getting the numbers when they talk about things of substance. They're not getting the numbers when they play nice. And so they go on the offensive. They do clickbait, they do all these things, and it works, and they get to keep their job. So, I mean, while we could attack individual writers who do these articles that attack and mischaracterize YouTubers, well, are you going to say that there are things that in the course of keeping your job that you wouldn't do, or that you haven't done, that you don't fully agree with or don't believe in, or that you haven't taken shortcuts? Because as someone who's worked in corporate America, I can tell you that I've seen people take shortcuts all the time. I can tell you that there are people who do things that they don't agree with all the time. And, it's a rough place to be in when that's your job and that's the pressure you're getting from your bosses. I mean, that's what happened with the YouTube advertising boycott in some cases, when you say that, hey, YouTube was doing this for 10 years and these problems that you guys are talking about in the media have existed for 10 years. Advertisers, you're hypocrites because this wasn't a problem 3 years ago for you. Why is it a problem now? Well, the reason that's a problem now is because the boss didn't know that we were spending money on this thing exactly, and now they do, and now it's my job is the situation that people were put in. So I think that it's that people were put in a situation where they had to deliver, and the result of that was clickbait. In the same way that YouTubers, in the fear of becoming irrelevant, in the fear of the changes in the algorithm, in the fear of the user behavior and the changes in the YouTube culture and what's consumed, have gone different routes. Many of you have complained about a lack of quality. Many of you have complained about clickbait. Many of you have complained, but then the answer was they could maintain a course that wasn't getting them what they needed to survive, or they could do what they thought was the right thing or what was quality, but it wasn't in their best interest. I mean, what do you do in that situation? It's rough. It's hard. And so it's hard to judge people, in my opinion. I mean, that's where I'm coming from is I think it's hard to judge. I think it's hard to judge individual editors and reporters for doing anything unless it's sloppy work. Unless we can specifically say it's sloppy work, even when it's them mischaracterizing people and saying things that aren't true. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't think they get a pass. But at the same time, it's hard for me to hate on them because I understand the pressure they're on. Because when I was in corporate America, I did crap I didn't agree with all the time. And I know many of you are in that situation right now. I mean, really, in the comments, in the live chat, are there tons of you right now that are doing things at your job that you don't always agree with, or that you're doing things that you outrightly don't agree with or hate? And you're doing that fairly often. You're compromising because the answer is it's how you get your paycheck. It's what your boss expects. Are there any of you who have ever been put under pressure by your boss to do something that you don't believe in or agree with for the sake of maintaining and keeping your job? Because I think that a lot of people in these mainstream publications, that's the direction they're being given from the powers that be. And so, what do you do with that? Now, here's on the flip side. On the flip side of that, I have been favorably covered by mainstream media before. And I have friends who have been favorably covered by mainstream before. And I have friends who work in mainstream media with very diverse views on everything. And so I know people who have been put in those awkward situations. And it sucks, and they don't want to do those things. I, have seen personally other YouTubers who have been covered favorably by mainstream media. So it's not that I think mainstream media has it out for YouTube, because again, remember, the fat cats at the top, they all own stakes in digital media. The same people who own News Corp and Disney and this one and that one, those people, they're stockbrokers and everything, bought stock for them in Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram, and I mean, they've got a stake in it. They've got a stake in it. So, I mean, they're not trying to destroy this thing. It's about siphoning as much as they... it's about everybody basically doing whatever they have to do to get attention, because that's the new currency of relevancy, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. The currency of relevancy today is attention and thus content, right? So everybody is doing the content that they need to do in order to get the right views, the right clicks, the right view to subscriber ratio, the right click-through rates, the right ad revenue. Everybody is doing... Look, you have a lot of controversial YouTubers. They're cleaning their act up to get ad revenue, right? And that's not necessarily them doing the most authentic videos that play to their personality and play to their strengths or whatever their audience expects. They're doing what they have to do to be able to make a living, right? But are we going to hate on them in the same way? Some people are, but I don't think you can judge them because they're trying to make a living, right? So if a mainstream media person is told by their editor or their boss that, hey, write me a hit piece on YouTuber XYZ, or you're fired, what do you expect them to do? Journalistic integrity is always at the discretion of what is financially expedient, not politically expedient, financially expedient, monetarily expedient. Where Rebels Are says, after 15 years in corporate America, my wife and I quit to launch our own companies so that we now get to choose our success metrics. Yes, Rebels, where Rebels are, that's exactly it. I mean, yeah, I'm in the boat with you, and that's what I had to do as well. You have to go your own way. But not everyone has that opportunity. Not everyone has that freedom. Not everyone can do that. Not everybody can put themselves in that situation right away. It's more accessible than it's ever been, but, it's not great. And again, look at, YouTubers. Some of the YouTubers, and I know this for a fact, some of the controversial YouTubers, both on the liberal and conservative side, that's not who they are in real life. Many of them are very differently off camera and in situations where they're comfortable with people and they know people, different people, completely different people. You'd be surprised how many YouTubers are a persona. You'd really be shocked, or maybe you wouldn't. You guys probably have caught on by now. There are so many people that are a persona for what they can do for views and clicks and virality, and so they're doing the same thing that they accuse mainstream media of in many cases, because they're pandering, or they're playing to a base, or they're playing to a narrative. And okay, I don't love that, and I dislike it, and I'm not going to watch that content, but at the same time, I'm like, well, it's working, you're not being punished, and there is a market for it. Look, I mean, I don't love Keemstar, I don't love Drama Alert, I respect his hustle, I respect how long he's been on the platform getting away with stuff on some level, but, I mean, he does controversial clickbait stuff all the time, and it hasn't hurt him yet, apparently. I mean, he's still around. He's still kicking all this time, despite all the drama, and it's the name of his channel, and he's still kicking. There's no punishment. So, I mean, YouTubers have been getting away with certain things left and right. They've been playing characters left and right and everything like that. I mean, if you were watching, like, if you've been doing stuff of substance for 30 years, and then you see people being hacks and getting away with stuff, like, there's an impetus to go ahead and go in that direction, or see your money go away. I mean, so it's hard to look at that objectively and say, oh, you're not allowed to do that, but these people are allowed to do that. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. Kaufman's Corner says, it's easy to judge others, but that's hard to take action when we need a lifestyle change because we have so many responsibilities. Moral of the stories, you be you and start on YouTube. Oh, I love that. Good one. Clover Tack, Malevolent Elephant owned a PC network service repair shop for 20 years. Oh, you're saying, okay, you're an entrepreneur, trying new things, probably politics next year. Nice. These drama thumbnails increase views. So sad. Yep, so sad. Blood Dragon says, it's funny to see some YouTubers become a dancing monkey on Patreon to cover the cost of their income and ad revenue. Oh, loss of their income and... Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Abstract Discovery says, Roberto Blake for president 2020. 2024, and not president, your new emperor, your new overlord. Or if I can't win the race for emperor or overlord in 2024, then I will happily serve on your behalf on our new corporate congress as our capitalist, corporatist overlords of Google, Facebook, all the major, once all the corporations take over the government, if I can't become your new emperor, then I will happily serve on the corporate congress on your behalf. Darth Roberto, 2024, 2028, 2032, 2036. So no, I mean, that's funny. Forehead and Teeth Gaming says, Roberto, as a new 3 months channel in a very saturated niche, what advice would you give to get noticed without using clickbait? Your advice has already been invaluable so far. Forehead and Teeth Gaming, there's a tactic that I want to throw out there for the far majority of people in general in YouTube. I want some people to look at doing a formatted show. Casey Neistat did an interesting video about his vlogging stuff today, but it's basically reverse engineering television, because he explained that the way he did his HBO show and the way he watched television and sitcoms, but also other YouTubers he watched, informed the format that he developed for the vlog. And so I think developing a format for a piece of content in the form of a show, not unlike a television show, and maybe it's 15 minutes instead of the traditional 22-minute format, and following that structure is actually a really good idea for a couple of reasons. The algorithm favoring long-form content, an unserved market in your niche with regard to a formatted show. You can look at YouTube creators like MatPat from Game Theorist, and also even John Strawn, in terms of people who have produced very nicely edited, nicely polished things that don't fit a typical gaming channel, and either take the form of a show. I like what the Nostalgia Critic does with television movie reviews by creating a nice and different format. So I think creating a unique format and then marketing it as a show, a weekly show or whatever, is definitely an underutilized strategy. And then tactically speaking, to get clicks and views without doing clickbait, it's called be click worthy. Design thumbnails mostly with photos rather than text. Don't make it cluttered, but create some kind of tension that can only be relieved by clicking through. In that regard, look at what movie billboards do as a base model for that. So Forehead and Teeth Gaming, I hope that that advice helps. Roberto, I would like to know if we can block low-paying ads can increase revenue. E. Dean Cole, the only way to block ads is, I don't think you can block them based on being low-paying. Oh, excuse me. But you can block out certain keywords and certain companies. I can't guarantee that it will increase your revenue, though, because they could be using those initial low-paying ads the same way that I test Facebook and Instagram advertising to learn what the paid advertising algorithm is, which is to do a low-cost spend against something to see what it yields me, and then if it's getting the right click-through rates and conversions, then after a review period, I'll increase the spending to it. So actually trying to get rid of low-paying ads while they're trying to evaluate the value of your channel could actually negative impact you in the long term instead of in the short term. So I would exercise patience. That would be my best advice, because as an advertiser, as a business owner who spends, I might do a $5 campaign and try and see how I can optimize a $5 campaign for 3 to 5 cents a click. But once I optimize that to perfection, that $5 ad spend that I did 6 times as experiments, I might go back and then throw 500 at that for myself or a client after we've managed to efficiency-wise get a low cost per click model in place. And then it's about volume, because then whatever pipeline delivers the most for us for the ad spend with the lowest overall click-through individual rate in terms of PPC on a CTR percentage will then scale that, which means that if something performs well at 3 or 5 cents a click for $5 and then 50, we then throw 500 or 5,000 at it after we figured that out. But if they decided to, whoever doesn't keep participating while we're still in that test model to evaluate them, they've taken themselves off the table to absorb the rest of that money later. So that's, I hope that gives you context. I really don't think most people understand how ad spending works. I think that's part of what is some of the issue with the YouTube boycott was how few people really understand how ad buying and media buying and advertising actually works from the perspective of the person purchasing or doing the media buying or the ads on behalf of a business or a client or a company. At some point, I want to do some video tutorial thing or something where I start to explain that. It's complicated, though. I was Google AdWords certified. It was a lot of information even for me, and so figuring out how to break that down and where to even start to explain it to people not familiar with it. And there's a lot of acronyms to explain. Explaining PPC, explaining CTR, explaining cost per acquisition, explaining cost per convert. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I have to figure out how to explain that to people in a way that makes sense, even if they're not going to be an advertiser, so they understand, so that when they see something happening, they don't overreact or they figure out how to be patient on it. I think that that's a big problem, even with this whole YouTuber versus mainstream media thing. I think no one's looking at the other side. They're only looking at their perspective, and then they don't go to the other side. It's how I became a moderate. I have friends who are liberals, I have friends who are conservatives, and the thing is, I found out that they agree on like 80 to 90% of things, though the marketing to them was different, and they end up being sold on a team, and what neither of them looked at was who owned the stadium. You both are playing for teams, and you don't realize the person making the real money sold tickets. You guys are fighting, and the real person making money is selling the tickets, and I've decided that I'll always just be the guy who owns the stadium, sells the merchandise, patents the license, and let everybody else slug it out. Like, I mean, it's money. That's like, I mean, have you guys really not noticed how much of a capitalist I am? It's like, I mean, it's easy to be a moderate when you look at, here's the things that are right, like truth be told, like from a humanist standpoint, forget politics, I'm a human being, I live on Earth, and then here's what's profitable. And so what's the balance of here's what's human and here's what's money, and okay, where can they live together? That's it. Like, I mean, but here's the catch. You can make a lot of money short term ignoring that and then doing clickbait on all sides, politics, no politics, and then if you have a competitor, if you and a bunch of other people get together and you spend money and you box out your competitor, then you can have a cabal and then you can undermine people. That's what lobbying is, but there's a form of lobbying that happens even within online platforms of, well, if people form a block, a concentrated block, or form alliances, whether even if it's well-intentioned, even if it's just a bunch of friends who get together and they all support each other, they have a lockdown on the attention, and that means anyone doing similar content to that group that's not part of that group is boxed out by comparison, right? I mean, it's just like high school. If like a bunch of people that love the same thing that you love in high school get together and they take all the seats at this part of the lunchroom, you're exiled out into the wilderness if you're not part of that group, right? And so then there's a compelling thing to then be part of, because it's disadvantageous to not be. And that's what mainstream quote unquote is and what it means, to put it in perspective for you. So if like you guys have seen it yourself with genres of YouTube. There are genres of YouTube that you see siphoning all the views and all the clicks and all the attention, and many of you aspire to be heard, and thus you try to go in that direction. It's not necessarily what's authentic to you, right? But your choice is, well, I can go with that, or I can be in the wilderness. And will I survive in the wilderness? And that's what a lot of you tell me you're concerned about. When you say, I'm not getting noticed in YouTube, I'm not getting views, I'm not getting attention, and my content is so good and it's quality, but it's not the kind of thing that would be trending or blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, well, the YouTube rich get richer and everything like that. But again, remember, as consumers, we are at fault for that. We're at fault for that. Can you honestly all tell me that you've shared the small YouTubers you enjoy as much as you've shared the big YouTubers that you enjoy? Have you guys shared me in the same way that you've shared the people you watch that have 1 million subscribers already? Or are you giving more to people who already have it than people who don't? Are you sharing a 10,000 subscriber YouTuber, or are you sharing someone like Nick Nimmin or Brian G. Johnson as much as you're sharing me? Because they have a smaller base and they could use a lot of promotion and help, and I shout them out and stuff all the time, or I retweet their stuff all the time, and I support them and I'm homies with them. But also in my regard, yeah, I promote my homies more than I do random people. But I've even started to, if I like someone's content, I don't care how big they are, and if I don't know them, if I dig what they do. Like, I mean, I didn't know, I was sharing Craig Adams stuff before I knew him and we became friends. I was sharing Sam Shepard stuff before I knew him and we became friends. I was sharing Sarah Dietschy stuff before I knew her and we became friends. So, yeah, I help my friends and I help them out more. I probably should. That's probably right. But at the same time, I help and share things from people whose stuff I like. Not random small YouTubers who ask me for a shout out, but people who do stuff that I like, or that some of you here in the community, and I like your comments. I go check out your stuff and then maybe I like you do something. Like, that makes sense. But at the same time, I do all that more than I share something from like a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers. And I don't think most of you can probably say the same thing. And so we as consumers are disproportionately to blame for anything that we see that we don't like. The Supines Monkey 13 says, I listened to the advice you just gave, the follow with gaming channel. Are you suggesting we tell stories around our videos through narration, as is something I've thought about? Yeah, you can. That's one way to go. That's one way to go. And I think, truth be told, I think that, to be honest, if I was willing to commit 3 years to it, which I'm not, because I'm not interested in doing that, I have other things to do with 3 years that will be big and you guys will love them. I promise. Believe me. You see what I did there, right? If I were going to do a gaming channel tomorrow, I would almost do no Let's Plays, believe it or not. I would do almost no Let's Plays. I would do Throwback Thursday retro gaming reviews, and I would cover things like best fighting games of the 90s and best RPGs of the 90s and things like that. I would do Throwback Thursdays, ride that hashtag, market and promote that in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter all the time. Every Thursday and play off nostalgia from established audiences and fan bases with Throwback Thursday and never do gameplay. I would be doing retro gaming reviews. I would become the Retro Gaming Review Thursday show, similar to what Nostalgia Critic does with his format covering movies and television. I would do that with games for Throwback Thursday as one of my shows. And then I would probably do a Tuesday show that is not gameplay, but is more of a gaming lifestyle thing where I talk about video games and I vlog, and I'd probably do it on a couch with a controller in my hand, playing games and having a conversation with one of my friends or with a girlfriend if I had one, or we would make that a show and make it a sitcom about a couple. Actually, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably do a sitcom. I'd probably make a web series about gaming and do that on Tuesdays and make it a guy and his girlfriend, whether they both play games, or about, like, season 1 would be that he plays games, she complains, and then all of a sudden she gets into games, and then season 2 it would be about her getting into games and getting to the point of being competitive with him and him not liking that. And then season 3 would probably be about their breakup and then focusing on them as individuals, alternating through episodes and what games they play and what games they. I literally, yeah. So I just wrote a 3-season show for a gaming YouTube channel. You're welcome. That's what I would do. So that. We got some comments here that I'm reading. Malevolent Evans says, I saw a channel for the first time called Yo Mama that has 2 million subs and is an animation channel that tells Yo Mama jokes. Perfect example of something no one else is doing. Yeah, if you do unique things, then that's going to potentially get attention. I mean, and it can definitely reframe things. Luhi Custom Design PC says, ad business is hard. Problems can occur just because someone's screen colors are uncalibrated. Yeah, business is rough all around, and there are errors that are made, especially when we talk about visual stuff. So yeah, there are definitely things that can go wrong. Christian Wedoy sent some Denmark-style money, and I think that's the equivalent of $20 US based on the color coding here. Thank you so much for that in Super Chat. Can changing the YouTube location on the info page affect your views due to the YouTube algorithm? May it get less views from where it is getting from now, but more on the local audience? Mine is now set to a location. There's been some anecdotal evidence to suggest that, and it's not unheard of. I think that also language and the native language of the area of distribution plays a role. So it's tricky. I think that if you're an English speaker in somewhere like Denmark or Sweden or the UK, it's easier to get more international reach than if you're a YouTuber in Oklahoma that speaks English. I think it's easier for you to reach US and UK audiences if you're in the UK than the other way around. I've seen some evidence of that personally in channels that I have managed and reviewed for my company. So, because that's, I don't remember if I know I've given you guys context. I know I've talked about this in live streams, but essentially, aside from my personal brand, which includes YouTube and revenues from affiliates and sponsorship and public speaking and my upcoming books, that aside from my personal brand, I have my business company, Create Awesome Media, that does consulting and also YouTube management. We're a digital agency that focuses on video marketing across all the video marketing platforms, but our big niche and our big focus is YouTube as a foundation. And so when I say certain things, I'm not just talking about my YouTube channel, guys. I'm talking about the data from the channels that we manage here, and I'm talking about the data of the associates I hired to look at this as well, because I hired YouTubers to coach and manage and consult YouTubers. So that's a thing. So when I talk about this stuff, I'm using more data than just what's in my own analytics dashboard. I'm speaking from more experience than just my experience. It's the case studies and it's the data in aggregate. And so I try to do that. Thomas Jordan asks, when are you doing a House of Cards review show? I've got a secret YouTube channel that I'm launching with some friends of mine that you guys probably might know. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably heard some rumblings about that. I don't know that I'll probably do a House of Cards review overall on that channel, but we are going to be kicking things off with some Game of Thrones and some Star Wars and some other stuff. And that's just a channel that I will like literally do every other week or something while my friends come in and they do their stuff. And we haven't, like, we're talking about the business logistics, but mostly we're just gonna all make content that doesn't fit our regular channels just for fun. So I'll literally be doing a just for fun style kind of like YouTube channel on that stuff with 4 friends of mine. And so we're going to kind of just like do a collab channel that's around other things. So that's that. But I also have other channels that I do that are more businessy stuff that are niche on certain things. So that will. I've actually also thought about literally making a channel that literally only has 100 videos and that's it, that covers only like one thing, almost like a training channel as a reference guide. Because the thing is, I believe you guys know that this channel is a giant reference guide, but it's not niche specific. It covers all creative people because we're a community. This is a community resource channel more than anything, a term most of you haven't heard, a community resource channel, a reference channel. But I believe in a micro niche, and what my company is going to develop as part of our IP is we're going to be developing micro channels that are reference channels that have a fixed amount of content and then just new updates based on changes in things that happen in that niche, like if a new hardware software thing happens. So we're probably going to start on education and technology and do niche micro channels that have a cap where it's here are just 30 videos to walk you through this thing that you need to know. Like we literally might have a channel that's just a web design reference channel to help people build a website of their own for the first time, and it might only have 30 or 50 videos and they're all tutorials. I'm not even kidding. That's a new micro niche thing that we might actually be pioneering in YouTube, hardcore from a business standpoint. Jimmy Changa says, what's a practical strategy for getting discovered in my niche? I make content on anime and pop culture. Jimmy Changa, make a show, like I was talking to the gaming people, make a show, but here's the other thing. Go into Twitter, dude. Like, go into Twitter and, like, talk to people about what they like. Like, I'm going to show you guys this in real time. I'm going to get on Twitter, and I'm going to, like, do something. I'm going to find something. I'm going to find some hashtag or something like that. And, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug this live stream. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go literally into Twitter right now. And, man, I need to turn off location settings. US, hey, guys, I'm still live on YouTube talking about YouTubers versus mainstream media. Watch this. So I'm going to click the icon for video on Twitter. Can you guys see that? Hang on, you guys can see that, right? So I'm going to click on video and watch this. Hey guys, it's Roberto. So we're having a very intelligent and civil conversation on YouTube right now over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/RobertoBlake2. Come check us out live right now. We're talking about YouTubers versus mainstream media, and I'm covering it from all angles. I think that it is unfortunate that YouTubers are maligned in the mainstream media sometimes in these big publications. But, in full disclosure, I've been covered very favorably, so thank you mainstream media for that. But a lot of like people that I admire and I look up to have not. People like Philip Defranco, people that I'm not a super fan of theirs, but I respect them. People like Pewdiewpie. And so there's a big deal right now where a lot of YouTubers feel that mainstream media is attacking our platform, our livelihoods, if you will, our careers. And the thing is, I think that the conversation is more complicated than that. I think a lot of this has to do with the nature of where clickbait has gone as a culture, and we as YouTubers bear some responsibility for that. So, it's not surprising to see mainstream media doing what we have pioneered and what we've made very profitable and lucrative for everyone. So I want to know your thoughts on this. I want to have a discussion, and there are a couple of us having it out very civilly about this and exploring the conversation. So if you want to contribute your thoughts, you can do me a favor. You can either reply in Twitter with your own video message to this and talk about it here amongst yourselves, or you can come join us in the YouTube live stream, or if you're catching the replay, you can comment on it once the replay is up, which YouTube takes forever and a day to process. YouTube, get on that. Anyway, you guys, stay awesome. Looking forward to talking to you. Again, let's keep it civil. Let's try to respect each other. Let's do a better job than some people do in their journalism of respecting people, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Okay, boom. So I used a minute and 47 seconds. I used hashtags. I've got Twitter, and the tweet has now been deployed. The tweet's been deployed, okay? And so that's going to potentially funnel people in. You can use the hashtags on any content that you're doing, and you can do videos in Twitter and Instagram, and you can reach people, and you can have conversation. And what I did was I didn't say, hey, come watch my channel, blah, 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 or hey, sub for sub, guys, or hey, sub to me, or blah, 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 or hey, check out my channel. I gave them context. I gave them a 1 minute and 47 piece of decent content in and of itself, explaining what it is they get out of this thing. Literally doing that. If I wanted to get my first 100 subscribers on YouTube, if I wanted to get my first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube starting over, I literally could just do that in Twitter 30 minutes a day doing 1 minute videos either directly to people or hashtags to get groups and to siphon from that. It is not that complicated. It's just like real life. You want friends in real life. You want to have conversations in real life. You got to put yourself out there. And you got to draw people in, not because of what you want, but because of what they want and deliver for them, which is why we're having this whole conversation. This whole conversation is the fact that the mainstream media attacks YouTubers because they can get us to click on it. They can get us to click on it. We have a demand. We have a demand for information about our favorite YouTube stars. We have a demand for information about YouTubers, whether it's good or bad. Because here's the thing. While most of you will click on an article that negatively attacks a YouTuber, how many of you, be honest now, in the comments and in the live video, how many of you clicked on the article where myself and YouTubers Sonny Lenarduzzi, Gary Vaynerchuk, Marie Forleo, a bunch of other people, where we were featured in entrepreneur.com as 10 YouTube channels every entrepreneur should follow. How many of you clicked on that? When Forbes featured me for tripling my YouTube subscribers in 2015, how many of you clicked on that article? When Forbes featured me the other 3 times that they featured me, how many of you clicked on that article? When Tyler Roxon featured me in Huffington Post and interviewed me about disrupting the creative services industry for the greater good, how many of you clicked on that article? So when there's a positive narrative highlighting the accomplishments of a YouTuber, big or small, when my friend Sonny Lenarduzzi got featured, when Forbes did another article on 20 business channels to follow on YouTube featuring me and Sonny Lenarduzzi and Tim Schmoyer, how many of you clicked on that article? When there's positive press around YouTubers, do you guys click on it and do you support that? And do you guys show the mainstream media that you want creative people who are doing amazing things highlighted and spoken well of? Are you giving that more attention, or are you only clicking when they talk trash? when they talk trash. Because what this reminds me of is the kids on the back of the bus. The kids on the back of the bus that talk trash, people admired them, people respected them, and no one gave them like guff, and they were talking trash. But the people who sit there and stand up for people who are getting picked on and bullied, like who's highlighting them, who's championing them, who's making them student body president, who's making them the king of the cafeteria, the queen of the cafeteria. So can we really be that upset when the mainstream media does negative press on YouTubers and attacks us, if that's what we're creating a demand for, if we keep clicking on that instead of when they do something good? So, I mean, that's something I think we have to take personal responsibility for. I mean, you can tell me if you agree or not. Christian Wedaway says, can changing the YouTube logo... Oh, yeah, I was answering that. Yeah, I think that geography gets a little complicated in the algorithm, and I think it's nuanced and specific to geography, but also language, and then also how the localization on the user base crosses over, and there could be things with translations on that too, and closed captioning. So it gets a little more complicated than I can answer in this period of time. So that matters. Dark Mistress. I'm not assuming that you saw any of those videos. They're articles that were published by the mainstream media, and my point is you probably didn't see those articles because the articles that get pushed up in Google, the articles that get the most viral traction in mainstream media are negative, thus negative press gets more attention, controversy gets attention, versus I would love to financially back a positive YouTube news channel that covered and highlighted the best of the community and covered like good stuff that's happening. And I guarantee you a YouTube channel like that never ever deals in drama or negativity, that covered YouTube news and what YouTubers are doing, I guarantee you that would get less than 40% of the views of Scarce and Drama Alert. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. I'd bet money on it. In fact, I probably will bet money on it because I probably will invest in a channel that does that and then try to market and grow them and then set a goal of trying to double their viewership over the channels that I just did using strategies and hacks. But the thing is, it will take disproportionately more effort, more production values, and more capital to do that, which proves my point that if they competed at the same level, they couldn't do it. It will take an influx of literally 5 times the cash behind those channels and 20 times the work to beat them versus just going the other way. So, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. So, I mean, that's the thing. I think that we give in to clickbait. But it's not, I mean, it's designed really well to do that. It's always been that. I worked in marketing and advertising, so the thing is, while I'm hitting us as consumers, I know how it works, and because I was on the side, I was a marketer and advertiser. I was making billboards for like HBO Sports stuff. I know how this works. I was making ads in corporate America designed to get a certain click-through rate so that we could get a certain percentage on the pay-per-click side to convert to sell our products. So I remember corporate America. I remember that. And then as an entrepreneur, I do this stuff for clients. So I get it. I mean, and I'm blaming you, but I'm not blaming you because I'm part of it, the problem too, right? So there's the issue of, if we want to see more of something in YouTube, we have to make that known. If we want something more to be seen in the mainstream media, we have to make that more, because whatever demand we create is what will be in supply. They will supply us with whatever we show there's a demand for, you know? And so that's the thing. So I'm going to read some of you guys' comments. Does proper citation work on YouTube for articles or photos used? Retro Queen Gamer. If you have 10,000 subscribers or more, there's a feature called credits that lets you do citations in a way. So I'm not sure if that's the feature in YouTube you're referring to, but it's available to anyone with 10,000 subscribers or more. I'm going to see if I can actually show you a video where that happens as a feature, just as part of Q&A here. Let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick, because that's actually a good point, because the thing is, I don't think most people use this, even if they're covering something that if you cover, let's say you were doing a news video on a YouTuber, the proper thing to do might be to do a sort of citation of that. A lot of people do that in their description, but there is a feature in YouTube called credits that you can do. And it does show it at the. Does it show it only at the bottom, or does it show it in the pre? Oh, it shows it only at the bottom. But I'll give you an example here. Let me click over so you can see my screen. So in this video that I put out today around finding where you fit, increase self-awareness, I credit the cinematographer, my cameraman, and my good friend Jason Liebman, Jay Liebs. I credit his YouTube channel because he did the camera work. And what happens is if I hover, it actually shows him there. So you see that he has 25 videos, 115 subscribers, and he's doing awesome. So you can credit people, whether they're a cinematographer, whether they're a collaborator, whether they're a cameo. I always do that for the brands if they sponsor me. So there's a credit feature to do citations if you're covering someone, or if they contributed in some way, or if you have a staff, you can do that. And it's a feature that unlocks if you have 10,000 subscribers. Think of it as IMDb for YouTube. I don't think most people are aware that that's available to them. So yeah, you can credit people and you can do citations, and I really wish more people would do that. Because it does help people who are participating, and it does give credit where credit's due. So I'd like to see more people take advantage of that feature. Maybe I need to do a tutorial on it. Blood Dragon says, believe it or not, I subbed to you because of graphic design. Oh, thanks. I still do those videos. We'll be having some more of them. I'm going to feature some other graphic designers here on the channel coming up, and I have some collabs planned. Believe it or not, how much of graphic design do you use on a daily basis in your work? Because I run a media company where I am the creative director, not just the CEO making decisions, I'm in charge of all creative for my company, and I do the advising and sometimes the execution on the visual brand strategy of our clients. I use graphic design every day still. I still use graphic design every single day. I implement the nuances of graphic design in every single YouTube thumbnail, every single thing that I put out on Instagram. I'm thinking graphic design. All my photography skills applied there too, as far as visual balance, contrast, lighting. Everything I do is with that mentality, for the most part, of a graphic designer, making type choices, advising the brands on their typography, sometimes choosing fonts for them, or choosing a system wherein we have, these are your approved fonts for your overall brand identity, and we put together brand books for our clients so that they can actually refine their social media and their video and YouTube marketing to be consistent, because you know how much I preach consistency. So yeah, I actually use graphic design on a daily basis, all day, every day, throughout most of what I'm doing. Also, you've noticed probably on the channel that I've been doing a little bit more with motion graphics in some of my stuff as well. So it plays a role, and it's very important. And I think it's underestimated. So thank you for that question, Blood Dragon. It's a good question. Let's see. I don't know what that one is in response to. So there was a question that I was reading. It looked interesting, but I couldn't understand the context. The supine monkey 13 says, it still seems that the algorithm would still favor monetized videos as long as we keep our watch time. Oh, I guess there's a conversation about the monetized videos come up. Sarah Makes Art says, I just saw Roberto's tweet come up on my phone. Yeah, see, that actually works. So you can use Twitter as a funnel for video content, especially a live stream, and I think it's underestimated. Sarah, you clicked the article from Entrepreneur. Awesome. Yeah. Dave Killerish says, the mainstream media is afraid of the power of YouTubers to have reached the only audience that matters in the end, the future youth, so they want to kill that power. Dave Killerish, I disagree. I disagree. Look, actually, I'm gonna go so far as to say, Dave Killerish, this is rant territory. So if you've been chilling out, strap in, get some popcorn. we're going into rant territory. Dave, it's no offense to you, but I'm going to completely crush your argument just now. Using my RX Energy from Arizona, hashtag not sponsored. Arizona, hook me up with sponsorship. I need a case of these. And here comes the rant. Mainstream media isn't afraid of the power of YouTubers. Do you know why mainstream isn't afraid of the power of YouTubers? Because as much as the YouTubers have power and influence, all it takes is the mainstream media, which also, by the way, is owned by the same corporations who buy advertising in YouTube. All they have to do is turn off the ad revenue, and the most powerful YouTubers in the world disappear tomorrow. I mean, well, not tomorrow, but we saw that. It's called the ad boycott. It's called the ad boycott, right? So, do you know the companies that own the conglomerates that own the companies that advertising YouTube, like the Verizons, the Kias, the Pepsis, the people who own the shares and own those companies also own shares and are the people who make decisions with regard to Disney and News Corp and Time Warner and Turner and all of those things, right? So the biggest telecommunications companies in the world that directly compete with YouTube also own the other companies and the product and service-based companies that are spending the largest advertising in the world and in the United States of America. So at the same time that I compete with you as a telecommunications platform, I leverage you as an advertising platform. So if I am afraid of YouTubers and I'm the mainstream media, do you know how simple a problem that is to solve? It's called I can demonetize or blacklist my money from going to the YouTubers that directly negatively impact or compete with my business. So when you talk about the power of YouTubers, mainstream media doesn't have to worry about the power of YouTubers because mainstream media has more capital. The smallest mainstream media publication in the world has more money than the biggest YouTuber in the world, and will for the foreseeable future. So if money is power, leverage is power, manpower matters as well, human capital. So think about it. Even a small publication that has 120 employees has 119 more employees than Pewdiewpie does. Or if Pewdiewpie even has a team of, let's assume for 1 minute that Pewdiewpie had a team behind his brand the way that Gary Vaynerchuk does. He has 15 employees to deploy against that. Cool. Now look at the gap between Team Gary, 15 people, versus VaynerMedia, 800 employees. So think about that as an ad agency versus a personal brand. 15 people plus the star talent versus 800 people. What do you think's going to happen there? So then think about mainstream media publications. Think about the resources they have to deploy versus a YouTuber. Then think about their corporate conglomerate masters and the money and the power they have to deploy. Think about that. So when you talk about mainstream media being afraid of the power of YouTubers, I don't know what you're talking about, because influence evaporates if you have no platform. YouTubers end up having to do things that even go against their own brand to stay relevant and to continue to have a voice in this platform, or they will disappear. How many channels with 1 million subscribers have we seen that have just disappeared? Let me ask you something. You want to talk about the power of YouTubers? What happened to Alex Day? Dave, what happened to Alex Day? He's gone, right? What happened to Alex Day? How many YouTube channels that have 500,000 subscribers, 800,000 subscribers are dead? And by dead, I don't mean, oh, they're not getting views. I mean, they're not uploading anymore. There are plenty of them. There are plenty of YouTubers that have stopped uploading content for one reason or another. They're gone. They're gone, right? So that's a thing. And then in terms of, oh, well, the companies, it's a valuable source of advertising, they don't have to pull out of YouTube altogether. They could just laser target on YouTubers they don't like and pull that money. And they have, right? And those YouTubers are struggling now and having to go to their fans and Patreon and do those things, and it's hard on them, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, shutting down a YouTuber is easy because it's the same hustle as an entrepreneur or a startup company versus a Procter & Gamble style company or a Silicon Valley company. It's real talk. So they're not scared. It's called, we can buy you out, we can bury you, we can sit there and we can make you persona non grata so that no sponsors touch you. you want to talk about like the quote unquote power of YouTubers. I'm not saying YouTubers have no power. I'm saying that you have to understand, YouTubers don't own their own platform. They're at the mercy of Google, and they're at the mercy of the algorithm, and they're at the mercy of the advertisers, and they're at the mercy of the viewers. Corporate isn't at the mercy of those things. Corporate America, i.e. mainstream media, they can operate certain properties at a loss because that's just part of the collective portfolio of the company. News organizations, if they had to, could operate at a loss for years. For years. Do you think that the majority of YouTubers could operate at a loss, meaning they're coming out of pocket to stay on YouTube for years? The answer is no. The answer is no. Okay? So they're vulnerable because YouTube exists as a YouTuber is beholden to three entities: the viewers, the advertisers, and YouTube itself as a platform. That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, my friend. So when you talk about the power of a YouTuber, the power of a YouTuber is diluted in the sense that a YouTuber is only empowered as long as they maintain their audience, a good relationship with the platform, and a good relationship with people who have the money to subsidize them. That's a really precarious situation to be in. A mainstream media organization has a lot of different things that they can deploy to stay empowered, and they can survive a long period of public scrutiny. Because again, what I told you is, we can spew all the "we hate CNN and Fox News" all we want, and the next time there's a terrorist attack, unfortunately, guess what we'll do? We'll get off of our high horse, we will swallow our distaste, and we will tune into Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. We will sit here and we can spew all the hate at the mainstream media we want, and the minute the sky is falling, the minute everything's on fire, we're right back there. We're right back there. So with YouTube, not so much. With YouTube, not so much. You don't believe me? Ask Alex Day. So, I mean, that's my answer. Dave Killerish says, there are a lot of people who can be supported without the use of ad revenue. A community can support a creator. They can, but they don't. They can, but they don't. Most of them don't. And it's a shame, but here's the thing. The attractive thing of YouTube, Dave, is that we come here to consume content for which we don't have to buy a cable subscription. We have to have the internet, but there's also places to get free internet. There are a lot of people, we come here because it's a free and open platform, mostly not beholden to outside interest, and thus that's why we come here. Look, Dave, you say that a community can support a creator. Dave, you haven't supported me in Super Chat yet, Dave. Right? Dave, you haven't supported the Create Something Awesome Today podcast via Patreon. Patreon.com/Roberto Blake. Dave, I don't know that you've bought a Create Awesome Today t-shirt. Maybe you have, but you can go to robertoblake.com/shirts and you can buy a Create Awesome Today t-shirt, or the Always Be Creating t-shirt, Dave. I don't think you've done that. I haven't seen the purchase order come through. So, I'm just saying, like, yes, of course, creators could theoretically survive without ad revenue. The majority do not, cannot, will not. And not everyone will do what I do, which is build a media company as a business and do consulting and make, depending on how you look at it, more money than YouTube, ad revenue at least. And most creators will diversify their YouTube revenue into 10 buckets, so they have 10 ways to make money on the YouTube video, which I've talked about at length, you guys. You can watch my video on 10 ways to make money on YouTube. So most creators are not that business savvy and don't have that business acumen, and most of the community surrounding a creator will not donate $1 to them, no matter how good the content is. And thus, most creators are relying on ad revenue and on sponsors, which makes them vulnerable, which means that if the powers that be decide to shut them down, it's something that can happen. So, I mean, that's where I'm going with that. And so, I mean, and this is also my point is, again, the power of YouTube, partly to support your point, Dave, is YouTube has the attention. I understand where you're coming from. YouTube has the attention. YouTube has more watch time than mainstream television. And guess what? In that regard, statistically speaking, YouTube is mainstream media by the actual definition, not the popular definition accepted by everyone here, but by the actual definition, YouTube is mainstream media. YouTube is actually officially, legitimately mainstream media. There's really no dicing that. As a colloquialism, the way that we speak, we don't consider YouTube mainstream media, but it is by the data, which is what I live by, which is what I worship at the altar of, is the altar of data be praised. You know, data be praised. That should be a shirt, data be praised. Create awesome community. Get into Instagram, make artwork for data be praised t-shirt. Let me check that out, and then I might commission one of you to actually make that shirt, and we'll put it up in the store, because that could be cool. I want to do that. So, remember, data be praised, right? So, according to the data, YouTube is mainstream media. So it has the power of the watch time and attention. That doesn't mean that that converts monetarily into leverage for the creators that allow for that. The creators that allow for that power, that influence, that reach, it doesn't necessarily trickle down all the way or trickle down equitably. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. There are plenty of creators here with millions upon millions of views and millions of subscribers that still worry about their rent money. And that's a shame, because they do good work. And I believe in the work that they do, and it's just unfortunate that that doesn't work out. I'm not one of them, because I run a business. That's why I run a business, because I could just as easily be them. I have homies, I have friends that are like that. And I'm trying to help them. And some of them, I'm going to hire them, and that's my way of helping them. So the reality is that while a platform like YouTube or Snapchat or Instagram might have the leverage in influence and in attention, it doesn't always translate to revenue. And revenue keeps the lights on, my friends. So you can talk about the power of your influence, but if it doesn't translate to the power of you having control over your life and keeping your lights on, that's a problem. Your influence ain't worth much if it ain't paying your bills. So let's just keep that in perspective. You could have 10,000, 20,000 Instagram followers, and that doesn't mean you have $20,000 in the bank to show for it. Don't cry for me. Like, I have almost 250,000 you following me. I ain't got 250,000 in the bank, but don't cry for me. I'm okay. Jody Yarbrough, $20 in Super Chat. See, I've got 20 in the bank now. Thank you, Jody. So, like, and then we've got somebody else in Super Chat here. Let me make sure I'm calling you out for that, because I appreciate it. Who else we've got? Like, thank you so much, by the way, for those of you who donate in Super Chat. Who'd I miss? I can actually scroll here on the bottom, and I can see. Doing it with Jason. Jason, $2. Thank you so much. Victor, $5. Thank you so much. Victor says, I would argue that the low to high view ratio between videos channels can be an indicator of intelligence of viewers. Oklahoma. All right, Victor, I agree with you that there are demographics of users that, yeah, that could actually be the issue. Primary example is this is a niche audience that is usually more tech savvy, more creative, which represents the minority of overall people. So I have no delusions about the view to subscriber ratio, about what this was going to be. I knew what it was going in. But it's also why I'm going to start a show, Always Be Creating TV. Always Be Creating TV will probably launch June 21st, and that will be a hub channel so that everyone in this community has something that they can enjoy together, and that'll be cool. So stay tuned for that. I don't know if I'll announce that so much as I'll do a shadow launch, or I'll keep teasing it in live streams and stuff like that. But Always Be Creating TV, the first episode will be airing either June 20th or June 21st for VidCon. So we're doing that. Big things coming. But yeah, great point, Victor. Great point. Ivy Winter, thank you so much for keeping it real. Thanks, Roberto. Thank you, Ivy. I always try to keep it real. So yeah, data, love it. Use the Force, Darth Roberto. Yes, I will. For good, kind of. NoCats.net says, Roberto, did YouTube even bother to stand up for PewDiePie? No. YouTube's a corporation, dude. Let me ask you something. Let me be real with you real quick. Like nocats.net. And also, by the way, the rest of you here in the super chat, thank you so much, and on the live stream, let me ask you something. If you say something, even if it's an what they call an off-color joke or something like that, do you expect your boss or your supervisor to have your back or stand up for you, or to do what's expedient or in their own best interest? For reals here. Like, do you expect that your CEO of your company or your immediate supervisor today, if you make an off-color joke, and you throw out the N-word, or you make an off-color joke and you throw out a Chinese racial slur, you make an off-color joke and you get called out because you curse in a different language and you say something unfavorable, or you make a joke that is misogynist in some way, or sexist, or homophobic, or xenophobic, you do that, and let's say you did it in, say, your Facebook. Do you really expect your company and or your boss, your supervisor, to have your back and to stand up for you? No. I, like Felix, not necessarily a fan of the Pewdiewpie character, because that's a persona that's separate from the person. I don't think that Felix is a Nazi. I don't think that the Pewdiewpie character is a Nazi. I disagree with the hit piece by the Wall Street Journal, but in the tradition of clickbait, as I pointed out, in the tradition of clickbait, I'm like, was it really off limits? You know? So I disagree with mischaracterizing or maligning somebody, but in the age of clickbait, which we all participate in, like, that's a tough one. Now, that being said, should YouTube have stood up for him? YouTube's a corporation with shareholders. The answer is no. The answer is no. If you're a capitalist, the answer is no. If you're a fanboy, sure, be pissed at YouTube for not standing up for Pewdiewpie, the biggest creator who you love and are a fan of, is beloved by 50 million plus people and everything like that. Yes, let's crap all over a corporation for doing what corporations do. Do what's in the interest of capitalism and putting money in our pockets and keeping sponsors and advertisers that keep our lights happy. Yeah, let's go ahead and piss off our corporate overlords, because that's what capitalism is, right? Yeah, let's not be capitalists for, like, really? Really? So, no, YouTube shouldn't have stood up for Pewdiewpie, because capitalists don't do that. Capitalists do what makes them money. Like, sorry, that's the truth. It's called, America. I mean, I'm just real talk. That's just real talk. I know it's not popular opinion, but it's the truth. It's the truth, and I'm going to be real with you on that. It is the truth. Like them or hate them, like, it's the truth. Okay? I don't expect a corporation to do, like, I don't expect a corporation to do what you want or even what I want. I expect them to do what makes them money. I just try to make sure that what makes them money doesn't screw me most of the time, because I know that's what's going to happen. And so anyone who, goes a different route than that, they're probably being unrealistic. And I understand it. You don't like when something happens to a content creator that you like or that you love. I don't either. But it's the same time, I'm not going to sit there and expect something else from a corporation that makes money or is publicly traded when there's an embarrassment to them. I mean, sheesh. It's called money. It's like, I mean, you guys do realize that views don't always mean money, let alone when they're demonetized? So, he has the most views, he has the most subscribers. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that's in YouTube's best interest. YouTube makes more money from Ryan's toy review anyway. David Staples says, if Casey Neistat can upload a video and get 2 million views within 24 hours, it's mainstream. Plenty of cable networks would love to have this viewership. I agree. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was put on by the CW, hilarious show, by the way, hilarious show, employs literally tens of dozens of people, and it costs millions of dollars to produce a single episode, and they only get like 1.9 million views per episode and put out 13 in a season. Like, almost any of the big YouTubers get more than that in a day on a single video. It's like, it's nuts. So by comparison, for the production value, for the production cost, it's a real thing. So I agree that definitely is another reason that YouTube is mainstream. Barry Keene says, keep in mind Casey was a movie director and HBO show before YouTube. Yes, but with respect to that, there are plenty of people that are in the same level as Casey Neistat on YouTube that also perform the same, that did not have that previous experience and background. So I think that the original point still stands, and I agree. with that. So, yeah. Let's see. So there's some more comments here and everything like that. Rant mode was activated. A YouTube channel's influence on society still exists regardless of whether it pays your bills. People do have part-time jobs to make ends meet, but their voice is still heard on the platform. My point is, your voice is still heard on the platform, and what does that do for you? Like power, do you know what power actually is? Because you talked about Dave Killerish. You talked about the power of YouTube and of YouTubers. Power is defined as the ability to act. Power is the ability to act. Knowledge gives one the ability to act. Money gives one the ability to act. Physical power gives one the ability to act. Your power in YouTube is fickle if it doesn't give you the ability to act. Your influence in society is fickle if it doesn't give you the ability to act. If it doesn't have the ability for you to simply sustain your livelihood, how much power is it? If you can influence people, but you can't influence them in such a way that also allows you to maintain your livelihood, how powerful are you? You lack the ability to act. So it's romanticism. What you're talking about is a very fickle and shallow and ephemeral form of power. Real power is for anyone who is not paying attention, for anyone who's not been paying attention, for anybody, for those of you, I'm 33 years old. I'll tell you what real power is. Real power is the ability to act. If you have money, but I don't value money, and I value punching you in the mouth, a bribe doesn't stop me. If you have authority as a religious figure, and I don't accept your authority as a religious figure, if I don't believe in what you believe, and I decide to punch you in the face, no amount of your condemning or excommunicating me stops me from punching you in the face. I have the ability to physically act, and you lack the ability to resist me. That's called the dynamics of power. If you have influence over people, but I have money, and I can buy them away from you, then your influence over them socially, if I have the ability to impact their immediate outcome in terms of money, and it matters to them, completely undermines you. Or I could quash your influence if your situation becomes financially so crippling that you don't have time to participate in the platform that gives you a voice. Because you need time and energy to perform. You need time and resources and energy to be able to pay the cable bill that allows you to be here. If you can't pay your cable, or if your camera breaks or your computer breaks and you don't have the money to replace it, your power is gone, my friend. So you can't say that a YouTube channel's influence in society exists regardless of whether it pays its bills, because the minute it immediately becomes financially untenable for a YouTuber to support themselves, they can't be here, which is why you've seen channels in decline after the ad boycott, while you've seen channels say that they're going to quit YouTube. Yeah, they can try and supplement their income elsewhere, but it's going to diminish the quality of their videos because their energy output is going to be a thing. Why do you think so many of them left their day jobs to do YouTube full-time in the first place? It's because the energy they put into their day job while it was more stable was detracting from the quality of content they could produce and the time they could put into it to make it quality. So again, your money on the YouTube platform directly impedes your ability to be here and have a voice and to have power. Cash is oxygen. Quote Gary Vaynerchuk. Sponge Hammer. Hey Roberto, any advice for a student going to his second year of college studying design? Freelance on the side, read design books, look at the design YouTube channels, do as many personal projects for your portfolio as possible, research companies that you would want to do work for, do the work in your portfolio, make a separate portfolio for that type of company. Make a separate portfolio for that type of company and then do that. So yeah. Oh, Glenn Ross? Yeah, I love that movie. Melvin Griffin, Hidden It. Yup. Always be creating ABC. Always, you got it. You understand. Yup. So that's real. Ivy Winter. Corporations are going to protect themselves and not be affiliated with things like that. It's in their best interest. Yup. Corporate, baby. That's what's going to happen. Shamika Detrini says, you're a liability. Nope, you're out the door. Yup, that's what happens. That's what happens. No Cat says, I get it, but it wasn't that bad. I think what he did was in line with his genre, and being number one, he was making the money. No Cats. I mean, it's a matter of your opinion. The corporate overlords felt differently. They often do. Retro Queen Gamer says, there's no altruism or righteousness in corporations. I agree. It's just the way it is. Maybe that's why we need to, like, affect the culture, and some of that is we become corporations, we become entrepreneurs ourselves. Maybe we can change the culture. But if we decide to be starving artists, what can we really do to influence anything? Because we have no power if we do that. So, I mean, that's what my concern is. I want you guys to be successful and productive, because then maybe you can change something for the better. Let's hope, But if we fail to change things for the better, if we fail to change the culture, by being the people in charge one day, by becoming the mainstream, as, YouTube is mainstream as far as I'm concerned, as far as the data is concerned, data be praised. The thing is, one of these days, when the corporate overlords do take over, and the farce of politics is behind us, and the corporate Congress is got seats open, just remember, Darth Roberto, 2024, 2028, 2032, 2036. Darth Roberto. Sith Lord you can trust. I will fight for you. Fibrick says, is Spreadshirt your legit t-shirt supplier? Want to put my dollars in the right place. Spreadshirt has done right by me. What I will say, though, is when you wash them and you dry them, you have to use low or medium heat or the vinyl will peel. So be very careful with that. Also, when you're going to iron them, flip it inside out and iron over the vinyl that way from the inside out perspective, to avoid the vinyl cracking and peeling. With regard to the t-shirts, they are good quality. I have enjoyed them. Anyone in the community who's bought them has said they're satisfied with them. So yeah, Spreadshirt, great place if you want to do merch. I'm looking at some other options. Amazon merch seems to be doing pretty good too. Excuse me, I use Spreadshirt. If you want any of my t-shirts, robertoblake.com/shirts. We actually have a new shirt out, which is the Execution Not Excuses shirt. In fact, let me just pop that up on the screen for you guys real quick, because I think it's let's go do that. Yep, so if you go to robertoblake.com/shirts, it'll take you to my Spreadshirt store, and we got a new one here. Let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. We got the Execution is for winners, excuses are for anyone t-shirt, if you guys are interested in that. We got the Books Are Awesome t-shirt. We got the Always Be Creating and the Create Awesome t-shirts and mugs, if that is your thing. And they're relatively affordable. So, robertoblake.com/shirts. Shameless plug. I know. But also, for you guys who are trying to do your own merchandise, Spreadshirt's affordable, and it's good because you don't have to put any money up front. You just make commissions off of what you sell. So you don't have to invest any money, and that's a good thing. I don't understand that criticism. So what if Casey Neistat's at CNN? Like, cool. Like, someone buys your company for $25 million, decides to let you build a new television network for digital media platforms and everything like that. You tell me. Anybody here in the audience gonna turn $25 million away money on paying back their financial backers on their company for their app? Is anyone here gonna walk away from $25 million? Let me know. Is anybody, like, literally, I mean, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever your opposite political feelings are or whatever, or that you're neutral on, if they offer you $25 million, you saying no? Because I'm not saying no. I don't think so. I don't think, like, I mean, they'd have to do something I really disagree with. I mean, $25 million is a lot of money. I don't know. What do you think PewDiePie can do if his channel is shut down? PewDiePie will be fine one way or the other. And he's doing Twitch stuff now too, and like that's pretty big. He should have been doing more Twitch anyway. Boogie's been crushing it lately. Oh, animation channels. I keep getting questions here in the live stream. I'm going to do a video about animation channels, but like animation channels need to, in YouTube in general, but like let me put this in the context of an animation channel. Like and it's funny because like I was going to be an animator when I was a kid, but 20 years ago when I was 13, I was super into it, and then when I was a little older, 15 years ago and stuff like that, we didn't have great animation software. We didn't have Blender, we didn't have open source. Everything was so expensive. And so if you were middle class or you didn't have money, there's no way you were going to really be able to do anything back then. But now today it's amazing, right? So now we have a lot of YouTube animators, and it's like if I was a kid again, I'd want to do that personally. And I could today. Now here's where YouTube channels could do animation could thrive, but any YouTube channel could use this advice. So here's the deal with YouTube animation channels. All channels on YouTube should have what they call a hub, help, and hero content strategy. It is the disproportionate mistake that I've made in my content strategy in YouTube, but it wasn't a mistake. I was just playing to my strengths, but now I need to recalibrate because I have other strengths now. But you have to have hub, help, and hero content. As all of you know, this channel has been 99.9% out of the 1,000 videos I've done has been help content. It's been search-friendly, how to, what is, why, blah, blah, blah. It's been help content. It's been content designed to help people solve a specific problem. The good thing about that is search relevance, evergreen. I keep getting subscribers from videos I did 2 years ago. That's the good thing. You guys have wondered why my view to sub ratio is what it is. It's because I get 10,000 new subscribers off of old content every single month. Every single month. Old content, whether it's 3 months old, 6 months old, 2 years old, 3 years old, brings me new subscribers. And it's great. And it brings me views. I got a video from over a year ago that makes me an extra $400 a month on that one video and brings in like 300 new subscribers every month, and that video is a year old. It's amazing, and it's not the only video like that. So I have 1,000 videos in my YouTube archive. Okay, so I have all of that bringing me new views and new subscribers regardless of how my current videos perform. My current videos that I get beat up by some of you on because they'll get 5,000 views or whatever, that content over the course of a year, more people will come to it, and it will become a 50,000 view video over the course of a year because it's not going to burn out in a week like a Keemstar or Scarce video, right? So that or a video on fidget spinners that 2 years from now no one's probably going to watch, right? So that's how my strategy worked. What I should have done is balance that with content that my entire audience and community can get behind and love that is more general rather than specific. And that was something I didn't do. I also didn't do high-level, polished videos 4 times a year that you call hero content, where I do a big video or a massive collab with another channel in my niche, like at the YouTube studio or something like that, or hire a crew to do something. You should do those 1 to 4 times a year, or if you can do them once a month, you should be doing that. So it's a hub, help, and hero strategy. It is one of the most important things in YouTube, and I didn't balance my channel in that way. There are channels that go the opposite route, and everything they do is hub, which is what a vlogger is. Everything they do is hub, and it's a good strategy, but then limits you on other things you might want to do down the road. But any of this, if you go all in, could do that. And hero content is you're doing nothing but big production stuff. Animation channels are disproportionately all hero content and no hub content and no help content. If I were going to do an animation channel, I would do behind the scenes videos just like Disney did of my animation stuff so that that can be hub content, because then I'm building a hub and a community of everyone who wants to be an animator, and then at the same time they're watching my finished product, and then also they might be participating by helping me make choices and decisions. So that's how that could work. It's like, hey guys, throw me a challenge and I'll draw this or I'll animate this. So I would do things like that that build community. I would do drawing challenges. I would do art challenges. I would do original character stuff, and that would be my hub. I would talk about character development and backstory to the animation that I'm producing, and the animation will be the hero content. So the hub is about, let's talk about the world we've built, let's participate in the world that I'm building, and then the hero content is the byproduct of that. And then the help content is, well, here's the animation program I use, and here's a tutorial, or here's how I made that scene, or here is a tip on how to draw, or whatever. And so I would have the helping content that helps other animators or other artists or other creative people, and then I would have this hub content that's about the world that I build in my animations, and then I'd have the hero content is the animation itself. That is literally all a YouTube animation channel has to do to survive the algorithm, to put out more frequent content, to have a great community, and to get traction for their content. That is literally, it's not all they have to do, but it's the core foundation of a successful YouTube channel as a whole, but that's the specific context of how to deploy that against an animation channel. And it's that straightforward. It is literally that simple. I will do a dedicated video about that, but for everyone who's still in this chat that's asking that question, that is your answer. That is your answer. So there you go. Hub, help, and hero. Melvin, you have a great point. Melvin Griffin was talking about like the cost of doing things in YouTube. Yeah, it gets expensive, and so if you don't make money, it's a problem, no matter how much viewership you get if you don't make money. Autobot Simmer keeps asking, how much longer should a video be based on average audience retention? My average audience retention is 2 minutes. My formula is whatever your average is, you make the video 3 times that, because you're raising the ceiling. If you lower the ceiling, it won't help. So that's the answer. Legacy account versus a refresh. Unless you have a legacy bug affecting your channel, which if you did, you would know. I don't think you have to do a refresh. Refresh is if you're changing your brand entirely. Cogito Curiosity Visualize says, I assume hero content is A+ content, the one you work hard on and is top quality, your featured video. Like, yeah, hero content video is the thing you spend like 10 or 20 hours on, versus like to do a tutorial, that's like an hour to 2 hour turnaround. To do hub content might be a live stream, or it might be a 5-minute quick video that answers the community's questions or something like that, and it's easy to turn around. It's like, so you're like, the main content you should be producing on YouTube on a regular basis is content that takes you less than an hour to make. You should be focusing on content that you can make in less than an hour, okay? But your hero content is something that can take 10 or 20 hours or longer, and so you do less of it. So it's the highest quality thing you could possibly do. So yeah. The point of hero content ducking around is that you can market and promote hero content, and that hero content is it's something that could really draw people in if it's the first time they've ever seen you or you're recommended. It's the kind of thing meant to be shared, and again, it's the highest polished thing you could do. So it's that. The hero content can go a different way. It could be what you might want to attract the relationships you want with advertisers or sponsors too. So it's the thing that represents you the best in the world that you could possibly make. You throw everything at it. You throw everything at it. So yeah. Hey Roberto, what is the minimal number of subscribers, monthly views you'd recommend before pursuing YouTube as a full-time gig, or is my question completely subjective? Thank you. 7 Mick. Views and subscribers are irrelevant. It's all about that money. It's all about that cash flow. Cash is oxygen. How much money, when should you pursue YouTube full-time? When the income from it completely eclipses the money that you make at your regular job. Dave Killer says, videos are free to make and upload on the platform, and you can take advantage of the platform without finance. I call BS on that. Videos cost the cost of your phone to produce if you have a phone, or this $100 webcam, or my old $300 something camera, or my current $2,000 camera, or the $500 software that's running this live stream, plus the whatever your cable bill to upload and deal with YouTube's slow upload times is, to deploy against that, plus whatever the cost of your software was to deploy. And while you could do all that for free, quote unquote, or at very little cost, the people who make a living off of YouTube ain't the people who spend $100 in their entire investment of their YouTube production studio and or career. There will obviously be exceptions like grade A under A, but that still cost him $300 plus his phone, which was like a $400 phone at the time. So it still cost him $700 plus his internet connection. So you can't say that it's free to upload and free to produce. You can say free to upload, but not free to produce. And to have the capacity to upload in the first place costs you something. So I'm tired of this argument of, oh, it doesn't cost some financial assistance. Yeah, when you're on the struggle bus and you're starting up, you can get started on that, but you can't make it viable off of $0 past a certain point, past a practical point. And to say that, yes, this person and that person has done it, those are outliers. That is the absolute minority of people. It would be like saying, yes, you don't need a fancy camera to take good photographs. Yes, yes, yes. Now, all the award-winning and Emmy award-winning photographers and videographers and everything like that, what camera did they use? Okay, thank you. The standard of competition for attention requires people to step their game up, which is why once someone goes from 1,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers and is making at least a little bit of money, what do? They upgrade their microphone because sucky audio means less people watch for shorter periods of time. What do people do? They upgrade their camera. Why? Because with all the choices, regardless of how much they like you or how good your content is, with all the choices they have, something that looks and sounds better that competes for their attention will steal their attention. The minute somebody does what you're doing with close to or equal the personality and likability with higher production values comes along, the fickle loyalty of a viewer will go with them over you. And that is an economic reality. And so, I'm tired of debating economic reality with people. As someone who has also not had money and done creative things, worked in corporate America, saw what people can really throw money behind, and then also now runs a business, and now also helps other creators with every budget from zero to a crap ton of money, I can tell you that economic reality is something that creative people should stop ignoring if they don't want to live in a cardboard box. And they should stop arguing about it. You want to stay on the struggle bus or you want to hop on the success train? Because I got room over here. Because a lot of people ain't willing to do what it takes to be on the success train. So we got plenty of seating out here. The struggle bus is packed to capacity, though. Shelbiz Lee says, advice on rebranding. I went viral for some content I'm not so passionate about anymore. How do I switch it up and maintain subs and view ratio? I would analyze what it was that the people, or even ask the people who enjoyed that viral content, what it was that attracted them to it. I would put together a real solid thesis around what that was that attracted to them, what they like. I would analyze the video. I would think about how I could improve, how would I make that thing better around, and how would I replicate what made that work against something I'm now passionate about, and put that out there. And I would hit consistency, and I would understand that I'm going to lose some people, but I might gain more people. And so that's how I would handle a rebranding. Also, Shell Bisley, hit me up in Twitter at Roberto Blake. I will give you a personal discount if you want to do a one-on-one consulting session call with me. I'll give you the best rate I can possibly give you. I might give you the old rate that I had from a year ago or something like that. We just have to work it out. So hit me up in Twitter at Roberto Blake, reference this conversation, and I'll try and hook you up. It won't be as wildly expensive as my current rates are. It's also, I don't work for free, except putting out free content. So let's talk. Let's talk, and let me see if I can help you with your rebranding. Larry Snow, wish it could be more. Giving of over 2 hours of your time to give back, pay it forward for the YouTube community with no other reason than to help others. Super awesome. Thank you so much, Larry. Super appreciate you. Yeah, I dig doing this stuff. I like answering your questions. On some level, some of you I like arguing with. So that's, that's what's up. The Hippie Geeks. Just wanted to say thanks, Roberto. You are by far one of the most helpful creators I've found on here. No problem, the Hippie Geeks. Look, and the thing is, I'm only discouraging to a glass half empty person, and I'm not trying to rag or razz on people, especially people who are just starting out or people who are on the struggle bus. I'm trying to help you frame the mentality of what it's going to really take to be successful, because I've already been there. I've already been where you are. Guys, remember, 3 years ago, I had 5,000 subscribers. Most of you had no idea who I was. I literally, in 3 years, grew by 45,000. It wasn't just my tactics and the strategies I deployed, it was my mindset more than anything. It was my mindset, it was the Tony Robbins stuff, it was taking inspiration from him, reverse engineering the success of other people, analyzing people that I admired like Terry White and Jared Polin and Nathaniel Dodson and my friend David DeFranco and all these people that I looked up to and admired, and then some of them I got to the same level as them or surpassed them and now we're friends or whatever. Like, I studied and I worked my butt off, but I also worked on my personal development, growing my mindset, not making excuses, not worrying about what other people were doing, not hating on anyone else's success, and analyzing the data and the thing that was in front of me and addressing economic reality and physical and practical reality, and not making excuses or romanticizing what I was doing wrong. So, all of those things matter. You don't go in 3 years growth by 45,000%, which is the number I broke down, because when you grow from 5,000 to 234,000 in 3 years, that's 45,000% growth, and it doesn't happen overnight. It happens as a result of changing your mindset, changing your thought processes, changing your actions, addressing your limiting beliefs, and looking at what the data is telling you, listening to your intuition, and becoming more self-aware, and then going to your community and figuring out how to work with them to serve them better. So, I mean, that's what it is. And it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes so much hard work, so much hard work. Shell Biz also want to put my money to work the way it should be, supporting people like you. Thank you so much. Retro Queen Gamer says, PewDiePie is an outlier. Even if you had what he has in his viewers and subscribers, doesn't mean you'll get a quarter of what he gets. Absolutely. And he had also hit it at the right time. Timing matters too. Speed Akpodite says, do you use a clip under the shirt mic for your videos? What's it called? A lavalier or lapel mic is what I used to use. It was a $20 microphone from Sony that used to be in my kit. Now I use my Sennheiser MKE 440 microphone, which is also in my kit. I have links to my YouTube gear for my current setup in the description for you guys. Some of it's more reasonably priced than you would think, and I grew into it. And for a while, I was using my Panasonic G7. That one is like $600 now. For a long time, I was using this Nikon that I'm giving to a friend that was like, it's like $350 now. There are videos that I've even done to this day where I use my smartphone, and if I live stream from it, sometimes it's 480p, and I still get like thousands of views. And so that matters. Also, I want to show you guys a hidden statistic. I want to show you guys something because I want to put something in context. None of you are razzing me in this and talking about, oh, your channel's dead or dying or whatever because of the view to sub ratio, but someone brought up view to sub ratio, and so I want to show you this article from Business Insider, and also this was something that Tube Mogul brought up, and this article has been referenced in Tube Filter before, and I'm going to bring this up on my screen, and this is from Business Insider, you guys. So as you can see here, from the numbers, this is showing you some statistics around, and let me see if I can make this to where you guys can see it a little better. Hang on. There you go. All right, so YouTube views by number of views. This is the percentage of all views on YouTube across all videos that get less than 100 views. 30%. If you combine that with under 500, it's close to 53%. Less than 1,000, that number jumps up to 60%. And so, as many of you know, the majority of my overall videos get between 5,000 to 10,000 views. As many of you know, I have a few videos here on the channel that have 100,000 views plus, maybe about 20 or 30 videos like that. And so you can see that to be in the top percentage of YouTube views, the top 10% of views on YouTube, the top 10% of views on YouTube, your video would only have to pull 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers to be in the top 10% of views, because that's how disproportionately stuff doesn't get viewed in YouTube. The overwhelming 90% of YouTube videos get less than, you can see the numbers yourself, this is the data, less than 5,000 views. 90% of all YouTube videos get less than 5,000 views. Mind-blowing, right? The far minority, less than 1%, get 1 million views. Ever. It's less than 1%, 0.33%, less than a percent, less than a third of a percent, ladies and gentlemen. 100,000 views. Congratulations. You're in the top 2%. You know? So that's the reality of YouTube versus the illusion of YouTube that many of you see by watching the top 5,000 creators in YouTube. The top 5,000 creators are who have 1 million subscribers or so in YouTube. Don't take my word for it. Let's go to Social Blade and let's go to YouTube top list and let's look at where did I see that? There's a thing where you can see the top 5,000 channels. Where was it? Something here that lets me see the top 5,000 channels organized by subscribers. Maybe it's the main page? Let's see. Here it is. Top 5,000. All right, so here's the top 5,000. And then I'm going to sort by subscribers. And you're going to see something very interesting. So sorted by subscribers, including the channels that YouTube automatically generates by itself. Based on categories and things like that. I'm going to put YouTube into perspective. I'll probably do a whole video about this at some point. And then I got to go, guys. I got to eat. And I got to actually unbox some stuff. And I got to film the tips video. Actually, I don't have to film that. I have to edit that. No, I have to film one because that one's a sponsored one. I have to get approved first. That's right. I'm going to be doing a sponsored TubeBuddy video that'll probably be out next week or in the middle of the week or something. You guys will love that. It's going to be 7 habits of highly effective YouTubers. You're going to love it. Believe me. No, like, there's never been a better video about the habits of YouTubers than this video that I'm going to release. That's going to be sponsored by our friends at TubeBuddy. Believe me. I know you guys see what I'm doing there. But it's all in good fun. So I'm scrolling. This is top 5,000 channels in YouTube here. Rolling. Like, so you start to see something interesting here. And there's some recent additions to this. Or this is data from Social Blade. It's publicly available. One of the largest indexes of YouTube data there is. I love going through here as a data nerd. Me and my company, we do this all the time. I have my associates who do some of the channel management stuff for our clients, like constantly living in freaking Social Blade. They might as well buy real estate there. They might as well pitch a tent. But yeah. All right, so top 5,000 channels, 800,000 subscribers up. You can see that, okay, so less than 5,000 people have 1 million subscribers in YouTube, and some of those channels are auto-generated by YouTube, and some of them are corporations. Many of them are Vivo channels, so you can see that, right? And technically, the YouTube music channel and the YouTube gaming channel and sports channels are bigger than PewDiePie. PewDiePie is technically only the 4th biggest YouTuber. YouTube channel. He's the biggest YouTuber, but technically only the 4th biggest channel. So there you go. Now, to give you perspective, based on the viewer ranking through Social Blade, I'll show you where I'm at. My channel, there's like, so the top 5,000, like it's 800,000 plus to get there, close to the 1 million mark for the top 5,000 channels, right? I'm going to show you what my ranking is by subscriber according to Social Blade. In terms of where it places me in that. And this will give you some perspective on YouTube. And again, I want you to remember why I showed you with Business Insider a minute ago of, where was it? Of like the views thing of, okay, if you get 5,000 views or more on a video, you're in the top 10% of views So, yeah, like, that's a real thing. That's the data. That's the data. We live in the world of data. Come on, Social Blade. Why are you being slow? So I'll show you the ranking statistics around my channel out of all active YouTubers. So out of, we got some lag. Love the lag, right? But out of all active YouTubers, my ranking is something like 19,000. I'm going to show you that here. And then I'll show you where somebody with like 100 subscribers is to give you perspective. By the way, there are 15 million YouTubers, but that's just accounts. I count active YouTubers as anyone hustling 100 subscribers or more. Bloody, hang on. Maybe this will be faster. Okay, yeah. So for subscriber rank, I'm 19,452nd, right? That's where I am. That's me. Now, if I type in my friend Jay Leaves, who has 115, you can see that he is the 6 millionth something largest YouTuber. So in terms of active people hustling to 100 subscribers plus and active in the platform versus the 15 million YouTube accounts, you now have perspective. So there's 15 million people in YouTube, 0 subscribers, 100 subscribers, whatever. There's 6 million people hustling with 100 subscribers or more trying to be YouTubers, and the top 5,000, not even all of them have a million, which means that the top YouTubers that you are enamored with that represent the top percentage of YouTube, it's not the top 1% of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, is the top 0.001%. It's actually a worse fraction than that, but that's the most reasonable fraction that I can give you. But given the 15 million versus the 5 or 6 million, the most reasonable number I can give you for perspective is 0.001%. That's where the Pewdiepies, the Jenna Marbles, the Lily Singhs, the Swoozies, the Markipliers, top 0.001%. The people with 800,000 or more, top 0.001%. And yeah, it's actually less of a percentage than that. That's just rounding. Okay? So that's real. Technically, that means that if you have 100,000 subscribers, you're actually in the 0.01%. And again, so perspective based on data versus the narrative in YouTube that's been crafted around what is an active channel, what is a dying channel, what is a successful channel. These things are cultural rhetoric that is not reflective of data. And so while a lot of people poo-poo on channels for the views that they get, individual videos in YouTube that get 5,000 views or more, that represents the top 10%, because 90% of all content on YouTube gets less than 5,000 views. 90%. You see the data. 50% less than 500 views. 60% less than 1,000. More than 70% less than 2.5K. So, if you're like, oh, I only get this many views, your perspective is probably skewed more by the top 0.001% of YouTubers that you're watching, is skewing your perspective outside of what the data is actually accurately portraying. But I don't expect normal people to dig that the way I do, because I'm a data nerd. I do this as a business. I'm all about the analytics. I'm all about that sweet, sweet data. Data be praised. So that I just thought, like, I know that was a weird tangent, but that's me, and that's what I like. I like data. I think that stuff's fun. I think seeing how the narrative and the perception is so much skewed versus what a normal people thinks it is, and what the actual reality is reflected in numbers. Oh yeah, I can't get enough of that. Let's see. So we got some comments here. I want to follow up with some of that. Let's see. I got some comments here. I'm just trying to catch up on them. But you guys have been doing pretty awesome in the comments. TRG Nation says, I got 50,000 views on one video, but the rest? Question mark. It's more than you think it is, see? Shelly Bleeze's channel is impressive. Nice. Do you think it's a smart move? Diego R. Marciano says, do you think it's a smart move to make some investment in stuff to produce content, green screens, cans, mic, even before starting to produce any video at all? That's the path we chose for us. Diego, it all depends on what your strengths are. I had a background in photography and in video editing. So I could confidently invest in certain things because I knew it would play to my strengths and give me speed. So what I value is speed to be able to leverage my strengths, but not speed on the results. Speed on my process to do it efficiently matters more to me than how quickly I get something out of it. I need speed on the head down work. I don't need speed in what that brings on the output per se. So I think it's a matter of what are your strengths, what's your background, and will these things help with that, and will they reduce the time it takes to produce something? Because that's what it's about. That's my opinion. Metro Soul TV says, it's about taking care of all aspects of our life to its maximum potential. The foundation of mindset matters the most. Yep, agree. Self-awareness, strategy, hustle equals real success, intuition. Yep, all of that. Beanie Draws says, I find it interesting that I'm a visual artist who draws, but most of the channels I follow are tech channels and education marketing videos. That doesn't surprise me, actually, Beanie. Retro Queen says, woot, more from the professor of statistics. Yeah, I love that. I love the sweet, sweet data. Love it. Love it. Gaming on PC says, Roberto, thank you for recommending TubeBuddy. It's installed today. Thanks. Yep, it's awesome. Link to the article, the Business Insider. Yep, I'm gonna just throw that into the show notes down here in the description, even though it's not about the YouTube versus mainstream media thing. I'll just the data on YouTube views from Business Insider. I'll just throw that in. So there you go. Now keep in mind that the data on the Business Insider thing, that might be dated, but it's still representational because it's still, it's still accurate, not in the, oh, those are the numbers today kind of thing. It's accurate in terms of a perspective on, oh, wow, this is how YouTube works. Because the thing is, if you look at articles that followed up on this from TubeFilter and from hey.com and stuff like that, you'll see that this is still true. It's just that I don't think we have the same numbers today, but percentage-wise, we do. And that's real, and it's reflected in what we see every day, because the thing that changes in YouTube is subscribers and what's popular in a genre and stuff like that, but the balance of view distribution still is normally maintained. And if you know anything about these social media platforms, you find that that's true. Let's see. Sergio Lamira says, hey, Roberto, love your content. Quick question. A channel with a global audience like yours, do your affiliate links to multiple Amazon stores all around the world or just one? If I use my kit.com or my Genius links, then yes, it does it all around the world. And I try to leverage those as much as possible, but I find my direct Amazon links get clicked more. So my hack for that is using a Genius link that goes to my overall thing on Kit for them to buy whatever, and then the individual links are my general Amazon thing because more of my US audience buys. So I just went with what was the most profitable. And I suggest everybody just try to figure that hack out. Tags can help you position. It's not about getting you more views per se. It's about positioning based on getting you more related videos and referred videos and getting you onto the sidebar by certain videos, which then can get you more views. So it's about positioning. Tags are about positioning. So that's the thing. So, yep. On the box says, nobody watches hub content if you have 0 viewers. What's some advice? Also manage full-time school club. That's why it's hub, help, and hero content. If you have help content, people search for it. That gets you some traction based on their thing. You shouldn't be taking 8 hours to produce a video. If you're taking 8 hours to produce a video, that's your biggest problem. It's the reason so many YouTubers are on the struggle bus, because they're taking 8 hours to produce a video. I don't take 8 hours to produce anything. I don't take 8 hours to produce a video, guys. On the history of this channel, I've never taken 8 hours to produce a video. I've never taken 4 hours, I don't think, to produce a video, except maybe my speaker reel that was not for the YouTube audience so much as for the marketing to get me more speaking engagements, because that's a real thing and that worked. I've never spent 4 hours editing a video. I've never spent 4 hours doing that stuff. Nope, never spent 8 hours. From the time I hit record, where I will batch shoot 4 or 5 videos in a row in an hour, to taking 15 to 30 minutes to edit each of those videos, an hour if I'm being fancy, and then optimizing the tags and doing all that stuff and spending 15 minutes on that. The most I spend to turn around a video is on an individual video is theoretically a maximum of 2 hours, with my average being 25 minutes. But on the other hand, I was editing videos before YouTube existed. So speed, consistency, that helps. Now, here's the thing. I've taught people who have never produced a video how to do it in an hour or 2 tops, who've never done it. And in their first week, they were able to get their video stuff to, oh, like doing it on my own took me 4 hours. Using your process and using your tutorial, I got it down to an hour or 2 hours. And now, after they've been doing that for a couple of months, some of them are down to 45 minutes or a half hour or 20 minutes. That's what efficiency is, why I stress efficiency, which is why the tutorials on this channel do that. That's also why the majority of this channel is help content, because it is faster and easier to produce than hero content, but hub content can just be a live stream. But you get that based on having helped people and prove to them that it's worth being part of the community. So, I mean, it's really straightforward. It's not complicated. And the thing is, when you're starting out, you don't have to overproduce or over-edit. So, I mean, you know, that's a thing. Yep, just reading your comments here. Yeah. Keep it simple. Animators take like 8 days or 8 weeks. Yeah, which is why my advice to animators was to do hub, help, and hero content. Your animation is your hero content. Talking about the world and the characters and showing behind the scenes is your hub content. And then your help content is, here's how to use Blender. Here's how to use Toon Boom. Here's how to use Anime Studio. It's not complicated. It's really straightforward, guys. It's really straightforward. Oh, it takes me a month to animate it. Like, okay, but you know what? To talk about the character design and to introduce the character, meet, blah, blah, blah. That's literally 6 minutes to shoot, 20 minutes to edit, and then whatever to upload. And there you go. There's a video out for the week. The algorithm is happy. Oh, here's a 20-minute tutorial, live streamed in real time, of how I set up Anime Studio or Toon Boom or Blender. Here's how to use this tool in Blender. Here's how to use this thing in Toon Boom. Here's how to use this thing in Flash. It's straightforward as hell. You could live stream your desktop using OBS for free and do a tutorial on how you use one tool in your animation app, and then that video is out, and that's one video for the week that people will search for and that you can tweet out and share on a Facebook group of animators, and all of a sudden you've got traffic and subscribers. And then when you want to introduce your characters for the thing that you're producing and the behind the scenes and the making of, that thing takes 30 minutes to an hour to put together. And then the hours upon hours you spent animating actually means something to somebody. Again, straightforward. So it's simple. That's why I'm going to have to make a video about what to do as a YouTube animator, even though I gave up on being an animator, because it's not complicated, and it's really the same advice you do for any genre of YouTube. If I was doing a music channel, it's the same thing. Oh, I'm a musician and blah, blah, blah. Here's what I do for a music channel. First of all, first thing I do for a music channel is if I got 30 tracks that I'm not using, I put a playlist together and I go royalty-free music for YouTube and YouTube creators. Boom. And then I give them a download link to go ahead and download that thing for free from my Spotify or from my SoundCloud. What that means is they preview it on YouTube, I get ad revenue, I get views, I get subscribers, and then I also am getting a follow and a download in SoundCloud or Spotify, elevating my public profile, and I tell them to credit me and put a link to my channel, which gets me traffic back to my channel because I'm a 30 royalty-free like thing as far as music and YouTube if I'm a musician. And all I had to do was take tracks that I'm already not selling and that I'm already not using and put them out into the market for free to leverage for attention and for ad revenue. So then I do that as a musician, and that's this content that can draw people in. Then I can do tutorials on how to use Ableton Live or Adobe Audition or GarageBand or whatever I'm using to produce, or Fruity Loops or whatever, and that will get searched. And I can do a bunch of videos like that. And then I've got tutorials that then are aiding everybody else that is theoretically my competition, and then I'm siphoning value there. And then they may also, because they're on YouTube, download my free music, which is more traction, which is more promotion. And now I have a promotion funnel, now I have a tutorial funnel, now I have something that can get me featured in articles. So I have all of that. Then I have my music that I want to promote that might be sold in another platform so that I can, so what do I do for that? I do a making of behind the scenes polished video for that. And then when we have the video out for people to buy, we put a music video up of the video for free on YouTube because it's our version of MTV anyway. The biggest channels on YouTube are music video channels anyway. So we put out a music video to sell the album in iTunes and Amazon and Google Play. It is that simple. It may not be easy to execute on, but the strategy is really simple. But then you need details that are specific to your genre, your type of music, your type of audience, the tools that you have, and that's what paying me marketing strategy stuff is for. That's what paying me is for the specifics. But the general overview is really straightforward. It's really easy to figure out, but to execute on it in an effective way, that's hard. Because if everybody could do it, they would do it. But the thing is, it's not for a lack of talent, it's for a lack of practical execution aligned to a high-level strategy with data to back it. Data to back it. That being the big thing. Viral videos are hard to replicate. The only thing you can do once you have a viral video is you better have had a plan for when you go viral. I wrote an article about that. Have a plan for when you go viral. Because if you go viral and you don't have a plan, it was a waste. You got all this attention, and what'd you get out of it? So it's a problem. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do tutorial, you could even just live stream it. Strategy for photographer, filmmaker. Strategy for photographer or filmmaker, literally exactly the same strategy I gave you for a musician. Replace song with photo or film. Literally the same. JakeTube HD. Hi, Roberto. I worked hard to get 100 subs the day it came out, but it's not working. Any tips? Jake, the tip is probably look at your execution, because just because you didn't mean you did it well. I mean, that's a real thing. Jake, I'm looking at your channel, and I don't think you actually did what I said in the 1000. I think you were trying, but I don't think I'm taking a peek at your channel, and I don't do this normally, because that's what like client stuff is for. But I'm like, first of all, Jake, you're doing fine because you're a kid. You're a teenager. You're a kid. and you've got 353 subscribers, if you're saying that like it's not working, it is working clearly because you've got some subscribers. You've got a couple of hundred subscribers. You got some views here. You should probably be patient. You should probably be enjoying your life. And you should probably not be worrying about YouTube, to be honest, and you should be using this as a learning opportunity. You should not be worried about your sub count. You should not be worried about your view count. You should not be worried about YouTube. You should do YouTube as long as you like making videos and you like talking to the people who do watch your videos. And that's my advice to you, Jake. My advice to you, Jake, is you're overthinking it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There might be kids out there that are YouTube famous, but there's only 5,000 people there's less than 5,000 people with 1 million views. I mean, 1 million subscribers. There's less than 5,000 people with 1 million subscribers. And guess what? Out of those people, there's a minority of them that are kids. Most of them have been around in YouTube for the last 10 years. That's a real thing. And the rest, a lot of them are companies, and a lot of them are collaboration channels. A lot of them are second channels of the vlogs of those same people. So it's really a very small amount of people. There are 15 million people on YouTube. There are 6 million that have gotten 100 subscribers. At the people at my level of almost 250,000, that's like maybe 20,000 people. And the majority of those are adults. The people with 100,000, there's literally, if I'm not mistaken, only about 50,000 of those. So out of 15 million people, there's less than 100,000 people, quote unquote, making it in YouTube. So I think that if you're a kid and that's what you're going for, you're stressing yourself out over something that you don't need to stress yourself out about. Make videos, have fun, be patient, use it to learn skills. Use it to learn real skills as long as you're enjoying it, and make cool stuff, and maybe your time will come with hard work. That's my answer. Yeah, that's my answer. Jake, you might be too young to become a client. I'm relatively expensive. That's the truth. It was cheaper about a year ago. It's cheaper about a year ago. It's cheaper 2 years ago. More expensive now, because that's what happens. Go Barber 2. You've been doing a great job with your videos, Roberto. What tips do you have for growing your social medias like Twitter and Facebook? Love this question. Love this question. I probably only answer like 1 or 2 more questions because then I really got to eat. Really got to eat. And then I got to plan what I'm going to wear tomorrow to my sister's graduation. And then I've got to drive out somewhere. So I've actually talked about how to grow a following in social media. My favorite thing to do in Twitter is Twitter has a video response feature, and I literally will jump into hashtags and then do a video related to that hashtag and encourage other people to do it. That's a really great way to gain followers in Twitter specifically. With Facebook, definitely doing live streams, but participating in Facebook groups is definitely a big part of that. But also curating content. Curating content from the smartest people in your niche and sharing it is a very good way overall to grow in a social media platform. Commenting and engaging with asking questions on those platforms to people is a great way, and answering questions is a great way. So that's what I would do is I would try to be maybe not an expert in a platform on a niche thing. I would try to be a practitioner, and I would try to be as helpful to other people as possible. I would try to be as helpful as possible, and I'd also try to be the funnest person in the hashtag or in the group or whatever. I try to make sure that I'm fun and informative. Jake, you say you want to be a filmmaker. That's super admirable, dude. I love that. So, I mean, just keep making videos to learn, though. Don't worry about being a big YouTuber. You want to be a filmmaker? Yulin Kuang is a filmmaker. Let me look up her. Yulin Kuang was a speaker at VidCon last year. She's not a big YouTuber by any stretch of the imagination. She was a speaker at VidCon. She was on. She had her own small room, and I was watching her stuff, and she was also on a panel with Casey Neistat when they had like small, big, aspiring, and so on and so forth. But what you guys don't realize is that while Yulin Kwang, by no stretch of the imagination, you don't think she has a big YouTube channel because she has less than 30,000 subscribers, far less than my current subscribership. Guess what? Yulin Kwang is working. She got her series I Ship It onto the CW. Onto CW Digital. She got I Ship It, which was 2 years ago, a thing that she had that was just on her YouTube channel. She got CW Seed I Ship It. She got her project greenlit. This is legit. She got her project greenlit by a major television digital company. And that was from a project she did on her YouTube channel that has, where to go, on a YouTube channel, and she had less subscribers back then. So her thing as a filmmaker with content that's getting like, it was getting 8,000 views, blah, 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 you know, and all, like, everyone, like, the kid YouTube people, and by that I mean all the young people who want to tell everybody, tell me, tell all these people, tell Chase Jarvis, tell, yeah, like, oh, your YouTube, you're only getting this many views or whatever, your YouTube channel's dead, rest in peace, and everything like that. I showed you guys the Business Insider data. I showed you that they're full of crap, right? All these people who think they know YouTube because they watch the top 0.001% in YouTube and then build a thesis of what YouTube success looks like off of the 0.001%, instead of looking at, because they don't know what reality is, because that's fine. Most people don't know what reality is, whether they're 14 or 40. That's fine. This small YouTuber doing big things. This small YouTuber got her thing, has an ad on CW television. The pilot was actually on the cable network, and so a major television cable network, and she's now, I believe, the director on another film project right now. So she's actually a legit director. She's, I think, only 26 years old. She was at VidCon, sitting right next to Casey Neistat. Not big on YouTube. Not big on YouTube, but big in life. Big in life, doing big things, doing big work, but oh, dead YouTube channel, quote unquote. Quote unquote. Oh, not a big deal, quote unquote. Yulin Kwang is a big deal. She's one of the most tremendous female directors of my generation and is going to go on to do even bigger things. And so she's crushing it right now. While everyone's worried about views and subscribers and view to subscriber ratios, her stuff is on the CW. CW. Real talk. Brought a project that she did on YouTube 2 years ago to life for a major television network. Yeah. So, real talk, tell me how much views and subscribers matter now. Because all it takes is one view, being the right view, to get you the right opportunity to go out there and to crush it and to make your dream happen. That's it. One view. One view. But everyone wants the 1 million, right? Which never happens for the far majority. 0.001% of people with 1 million subscribers, 0.33%, third of a percent of videos ever get 1 million plus views, and everyone keeps chasing this thing that they don't necessarily need to do the biggest, wildest things in the world, and thus perspective is completely skewed. It's completely skewed, and that's why the mainstream media and the YouTube stuff and clickbait stuff, that's why it keeps happening, is because no one understands reality and thus is subject to the manipulation of the people who do. No one understands reality. So, that matters. That matters. Reality and the numbers. Like I said, I promised to answer like 1 or 2 more. Ooh, I love this one from Doing It with Jason. What do you think of Gary Vee's app show? Totally rad, right? Yeah, I might actually do a review of Planet of the Apps and then also tell you guys what app I want to make. Which some people would say I shouldn't do because I should just make the app and do all my stuff. And I don't know. I'll have to think about that because there is an app I want to make. It's going to probably be a year or 2 years before I do that. But there's an app I want to make and I got to find a developer. and it does involve video. But it involves getting to micro attention, like I talk about, getting super niche specific. And yeah, other people could do it, but it's whatever. It's the kind of thing Gary would never invest in. My idea is the thing Gary would never invest in because it's not scalable to the level that's interesting for him. But it's something that I think can make more than enough money because it goes to the micro, and I think it's something that's so niche that a big business won't try to emulate it. And so I think that, like, I hate Fiverr, but I hate Fiverr, but think about why nobody like Google or Microsoft or LinkedIn will copy something like Fiverr, and you'll understand how micro I want to go on an app is something that's so lucrative from a perspective of building a business as a regular person, but is so small in terms of who it'll reach that's unattractive to a Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 company, which means that they won't try to throw their money and expertise and technology at it because there's not enough money in it for them, but there's enough money in it for someone like us to be able to say, oh, that's oh, wow. So, like, I mean, a business that can do 10 million, 20 million in revenue a year isn't enough, or even 5 million a year isn't enough for a major Fortune 500, Fortune 5,000 company to give a crap about. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in that at all. Not really. They want things that will get a million users and do, like, 20,000 in revenue. It's like, or sorry, not 20,000, like, 25 million, 50, 60, 80 million in revenue a year. That's what they're interested in. They're not interested in something that does 2 million, 5 million in revenue a year. Like, but there are plenty of opportunities for people like us to develop those kind of apps. We just won't get those level of investors. That's all. So that's something that that's the kind of thing that I look at. Is I look at micro markets that are lucrative enough to make the kind of cash that you would then need to stack to then go bigger, and so that when an Uber or Twitter or something comes along, you have money that you can throw at investing in that to make real money back. So that's that's how my brain thinks. Is I'm thinking of an app that can be developed that can do 2 to 20 million in revenue a year, with low operational cost, but that's not exciting enough for a big investor. So, you know, but it's good money. But again, I'd be like a year to two a year from even starting the beginnings of something like that. Oh, let's see. Beanie Draw says, "Be careful giving other people free ideas to make money from your." I told you that one of the things I'm going to do is I'm literally going to start up a website that's going to make me six figures. That's literally going to be called "Steal These Ideas," and I'm going to put out 100 ideas that people should steal, that are good business ideas, that are in my notebooks, things that are like multi-million-dollar companies that I don't have time to do or don't care about. And I'll just get a sponsor for each video and charge each sponsor $2,000 or $1,000 for the video, and I'll build a platform, a website around Steal These Ideas, and it'll be my 100 best ideas that I don't really want to do. Either I don't like them, I don't believe in them as a philosophical thing, but they'll make money, and then I'll just have a sponsor subsidize them, and then I walk away with 100,000, 200,000 by having people literally steal my ideas. Plus, I get ad revenue. So that's for the future, though. That's no time soon. But yeah, I will literally give away 100 of my business ideas so that I can cash in on them, because I'd rather make 200,000, 100,000 on those ideas that I'm never going to execute on than let them sit in a notebook and die. But before I launch that, I will build up the reputation and the business acumen for that to be taken seriously and to have a traffic funnel for that. So there is those kind of things. Hashtag go eat Roberto. Yeah, I need to do that. Perspective matters. You guys need to start adjusting your goals. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Roberto, any chance you'll be coming to Seattle in the near future? Blake Porter, I will probably be in Seattle again for Vlogger Fair. I'll have to talk to some people, but I'll probably be there one way or the other for Vlogger Fair. So that that is something. So if you're in the Seattle area, try and get out the Vlogger Fair. Ann Cortez Cinema series says, based on the episode Don't Be Soft of the Create Something Awesome Today podcast, what do you think about a series teaching how to deal with unexpected growth? I would like to hear that sometimes. I don't think it's a series. I think I could do an episode on that. So maybe. Lovely Kid in Japan says, Roberto, thanks for spending your time to help us. Yup, I need to spend my time eating though. Let's see. Push rec. Trying to find what their question was. I'm a filmmaker and I have 50k subs channel that's basically dead since I started film school. Now that I graduate, I want to upload tutorials and vlogs, different content. I'm afraid people won't accept it. Push rec. Do it. Do it anyway. I mean, and who cares if people accept it, to be honest. If you want to do it, then do it, and then you'll get new people who accept it, and then screw if other people don't accept it, you want to make a comeback. Like, I mean, I hate to break it to everybody. I don't do this stuff for you guys' approval. I don't do it for your approval. I'm going to be doing things in the future that are going to massively, if tomorrow brands that I like and I'll give you real talk. If tomorrow Adobe said, "Hey Roberto, we at Adobe want to sponsor every single one of your YouTube videos for the next year for $500 a piece. Will you let us sponsor every single video for $500 a piece or $1,000 a piece or whatever?" I would say, "Yeah, Adobe, you can buy all of my inventory in bulk for $1,000 a piece, and I will make 365 videos a year, and everyone will be brought to you by Adobe. And even if people then don't believe that I can have an honest opinion about anything, screw those skeptics. Because they think that, if I'm taking Adobe's money, I can't speak about anything honestly or whatever. Because at the end of the day, I'll do the content that I believe in. I'll get my sponsors to believe in it too, because I'm an excellent salesman. And whether people believed in, approved of, agreed with that or not, whatever people don't do that, won't do that. Whatever people do believe in that, will believe in it, and that's what I do. I would do what I believe in and what's in my own best interest and in the best interest of the people who are really down with me, and I do that in a heartbeat, and anybody who doesn't like it, I'd leave them behind. Just like in real life. When people didn't believe in me being an entrepreneur, I left them behind. When people didn't believe in me pivoting the direction of my YouTube channel, I left them behind. When people didn't believe in any of the decisions that my intuition said was right, I said screw it. And all of them had to come back and say, "Oh wow, you were right," or "Oh wow, I'm sorry I didn't believe in you," or "Oh wow, you did your thing, congratulations." All of them had. So real talk, I don't believe in doing crap for anybody's approval, because I've lived that life once before and it didn't work out nearly as well as doing things on my own terms that I believe in, that work for me and are to my own best advantage for the goals that I've outlined for myself and for the values that I've subscribed to. So I don't do anything predicated on anybody else's values, anybody else's belief system, anybody else's religion, anybody else's. I'm beholden to the U.S. government's laws, and that's about it. That's it. I do everything on my own terms within the bounds of the laws that I'm forced to abide by as a citizen, and when those laws change, I will change accordingly. Because that's what you do. And so that's what I believe in, is like, if push rec, if you want to come back and you want to do tutorials and you want to do vlogs and you want to make films, do it. I don't care. Like, you shouldn't care if anybody is accepting of that or not, as long as it's something you believe in doing and it's not doing harm to anyone else and you're doing content you believe in. Do it. Somebody unsubscribed, cool. I get in 5 minutes I'll have 5-10 more subscribers. So it's like, it's not their approval tube. Absolutely, Dark Mistress, it's not their approval tube. Yeah. So I would just No Cats Net said, I just realized I have years of cool recordings I'm not using. I think I can give them away like you suggested, like 250 of them. Yeah, dude, you should, and you should leverage that for exposure. See? But this is why no Cats Net. I know you don't agree with me on everything, but see, this is the value of hanging out with people even if you disagree with them, because that's a valuable nugget. Because what if you do that and then you get so much attention out of that? You know? Um so I mean, that's a real thing. That's why sometimes it's good to still subscribe to or watch people, even if you disagree with them on something, even if you don't agree with 100% of their stuff. Maybe there's something in there that resonates with you or that you agree with that's beneficial. So I appreciate you hanging in, and I'm glad that I gave that value for you. Um, do I believe in the 10,000 rule? 10,000 hour rule. I don't believe in the 10,000 hour rule so much as I believe in executions. 10,000 hours is a basis or a shorthand that they use to basically say do the work. And so, as a general consensus, sure, I believe in 10,000 hours, but what I more believe in is 1,000 executions, as proven by my 1,000 executions on YouTube. So, what am I gonna eat for dinner? Whatever I can find, because I want to live. I need food in my system. I need carbohydrates. I need um I need those things because I can't metabolize yellow sunlight yet. Um, anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for everybody who donated via Super Chat. Really appreciate you guys, especially you, Larry Snow, the Hippie Geeks, Shelby Lee, Fiberick, Ivy Winter, Doing It with Jason, Jody Yarborough, $20 Super Chat. Thank you so much. Victor Menendez, Jimmy Changa, Christian Wedoy, the Suprines, Monkey 13, E. Dean Cole, Forehead and Teeth Gaming, Where Rebels Are, donating twice to the Super Chat. Jimmy Changa, again. E. Dean Cole, again, $10. Clover Tack, always hitting me up, $10. Golden Child, $2. Abstract Discovery, $10. Malevolent Elephant, thank you guys so much for all the super chats. You guys have been tremendous. Thank you for all the great questions. Thank you to everybody who tuned in for the live stream. Thank you for everybody who hung out with me ranting and raving for 3 freaking hours. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Guys, do me another favor. If you guys enjoyed the stuff that I've been hitting you up with, do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter. I do real-time conversations and video responses. You saw that I do that there. Also, hit me up in Instagram. Both of those things are at Roberto Blake. Links to all my social are in the description of the video live stream. And then come back here to drop your comments, and I super appreciate you. Anyway, thanks so much, you guys. Take care and go out there and create something awesome today. Catch you on the next one. Oh yeah, also come back tomorrow for a YouTube tips video that will be coming out. Also, I think I have a camera gear video coming out tomorrow. I think tomorrow's a double upload day. And also, guys, do me a huge favor. I put out some interesting different content this week. I put out a Creative Thoughts vlog about why like Steve Jobs should have been a vlogger and other people. I also put out something around self-awareness and how to find where you fit in. I think it's one of the best pieces of content I've ever done. And I really appreciate you guys' comments on it. I want to know what you think and if you like that style of video. So if you're watching this live stream, or God forbid you're watching this replay 3 hours in, thank you. Please go check out that video. Give me your thoughts on it in the comment section, because I'm really looking for feedback as I grow and expand different types of content here on the channel. All right, you guys, take care.